Welcome in here, guys. Murder Church is about to come at you. We got Bob Mata in the house from Defense Diaries. Week 4 of the Jack Kevorkian trial coming at you right now.
Kevorkian adapted a mechanism whereby a string was put around the index finger of Thomas Hyde, and that all Thomas Hyde needed to do when he was ready to die was move his finger, pull the string, and that could start the flow of gas. The gas itself was turned on, not by Thomas Hyde, but by Jack Kevorkian.
Let's rock.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in here. Murder Church is on the air. I appreciate everyone for hanging out today. We got Bob Mata in the house today from Defense Diaries, coming in for week 4 of the Dr. Kevorkian trial. Yeah, man, we have been on top of this so far. Today, the first one we're going to be looking at is probably going to be a difficult one. It's actually going to be Sean Hyde, Thomas Hyde's brother. And there's a couple other ones that we're going to be getting through here today. And I know one of them is going to be a hospice nurse that I'm intrigued to hear about, to hear his testimony as well. But yeah, welcome in here, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. First of all, please share this out. Let people know that you're hanging out here with Publicly Buzzed today. And yeah, really appreciate that. Of course, we got to start this thing off with the bells. I see Viv already in here hanging and banging also. Let me get those going just to start her off properly real quick. I think Bob is getting a cup of coffee also. Give him a second. Get the bells going, though. Get them bells going. Hit that like as you come in, guys. Share this out. Let people know, again, that you're hanging out with Publicly Buzzed on Murder Church. Love it, love it, love it. Thank y'all so much. Yeah, Charlotte's in here as well. Good to see Charlotte. I know Charlotte got her Murder Church books, right? She got the notebooks. She can take some notes. She got the Jeffrey Dahmer and the Jack Kevorkian book, and I'm glad to see that those made it, Charlotte, properly and without getting damaged or anything. I was worried about that, but that is awesome. She sent me the picture yesterday. I posted that on Twitter. Super pumped up about it. But yeah, let me see who's in here. I'm not T-Pain. Donna. Jessica for Justice, what's going on? Art with Viv, Dizzy, Fofa, against Charlotte. Donnie's in here hanging out. Poke Mom, Sheila, Tina. Here we go. Yeah, Jersey Jen's in here. I think Jersey Jen might have membered up last night, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, she did. First of all, let me pop out the chat real quick so I can show that off everybody and get her name up there on the screen. Appreciate that. Real quick, let me just fix that real quick so everyone can get a gander. Pop back up top here real quick. Oh, let me go to my, I think it's right here. Boom! Jersey Jen! Let's
I'm
go.
sober enough to know what I'm doing, and I'm drunk enough to really enjoy doing it.
Beers in the chat, everybody. Beers in the chat. Let's go. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you, Jersey Jen, who has been awesome since coming through here, man. She's been really cool. Love it. Love to see the new people. Love to see the new faces. Jay's in here, brother from another mother. I know Shannon had a great stream last night also. If you're not following Jay and Shannon, yeah, you're messing up. You want to definitely be having them along with Jay ready to go. I'm going to drop some beers in the chat myself, honestly, here. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, I see a doggy about to come through on the screen. Hold on now. Uh-oh.
Oh, man.
He's there. Here we go.
Oh, come on, Nook.
What is up, dude?
What is up, Pastor Steve?
Not much, man.
Blessed
Ready to rock and roll.
Under his eye.
Did you have to get his paws?
Yeah, dude, his paws were, it's rainy, so
Yeah.
Nook was pretty dirty, man.
Yeah, every time Gypsy comes in, dude, I got to do the same thing. Got to wet a paper towel or something to get her going.
Dude, we have like full-blown towels. It's like a 6-minute process to like.
Damn.
He's like a 70-pounder, so he's got big paws, man.
That is a big dog. Yeah, mine's a 50-pounder, a little bit smaller, but that is a big dog, dude. 70.
He's a big homie. He's my guy, though.
Dude, thanks for being here, brother. Appreciate it, man.
Of course, dude. I mean, you're the pastor. You know, blessed be the fruit under his eye, all the good churchy sayings, you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit them again just to do it for fun, but there's the church bells. We're starting her out right. I know Viv loves the church bells, and there's Shannon coming through here also. Hell yeah, I was just putting Shannon over on her new channel.
What's up, Shans?
She had a good stream.
I had to watch your maiden voyage on replay last night, but I did, and it was awesome.
She's a natural, bro.
She's the best, dude.
She killed it.
She's amazing.
That was a really good stream. There we go. There we go. Bells. Art was Viv excited. If you're not following Viv, also you're fucking up. I want to put her in there.
Viv is amazing. Just an amazing human being.
She's awesome, man. One thing I want to check. I want to make sure I got your audio pretty good. I always mess up Dan's here. Yeah, bam. All right. Well, hell yeah, man. Yeah, week 4 today. We're starting off with Sean Hyde, who is Thomas Hyde's brother. I was kind of starting off saying last week was very informative and interesting with Dr. Harold Klons. I think I'm saying that correctly. He was going in depth about the actual Lou Gehrig's disease and how it takes over and how it affects the body. And it was crazy. He's a neurologist.
Dude, it's devastating.
Dude, and it was rough, man. But yeah, we're going to start off. This one could also, a trigger warning on this whole thing. I always have to give that out there. It can get pretty emotional, but it is an important debate to have, I believe. So,
yeah, it's like that's like when we were talking about what case you should do, man. That's exactly why. Like this case, it's just got a lot of social ramifications. It's got a lot of discussion points, really. And it depends on kind of where you fall on certain things.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If you're if you're a real faith-driven person, it might, like the concept might offend you of what Kevorkian does. Like I think we were talking about last time I was on. I'm like a spiritual guy. I don't subscribe to any organized religion, but
same, yeah.
But I certainly think that there's some kind of higher power. I just don't.
Yeah. That's why I say agnostic, because dude, I just don't know. You know what I mean? Right. But I feel like something pulls you along. Like
and I never sweat anybody for their faith, man.
Same. No,
that's all good, man. All right, hey, Jay's in the chat. What's up, bro? Listen, dude, I'm gonna try to tell you this since I'm like on TV and not like chatting you. I think Wendy's guilty. My point is, I don't think they have the evidence to get her to trial. That's what I'm saying to you. You don't have to convince me. But you have
to see him in there.
They have evidence. That's what you have to convince me of. Because, I mean, we all know there's no way that Donna's running around and Charlie's running around doing this without it. It had to have been at her behest, like I would think. Unless Donna's just that overbearing, which she could be. So I don't know. So I'll look for it, Jay. But I just wanted to be, clear that I think Wendy, is definitely guilty. But it's one thing to be guilty. It's another thing to prove guilt.
That's right. Yeah. That's going to be interesting. I want to see how far that goes, man.
Yeah. I mean,
Donna's fucked.
They definitely want her, I mean, they believe me, the state absolutely thinks the same thing that we do, but like any case, got to have the evidence, man. That's just facts.
Scoot your name over here just a little. All right. Actually, scoot mine over just a little too. All right, let's rock and roll, everybody. Yeah, we'll be hanging and banging for a little while here this morning. Get your snacks, get your coffee. Let's go.
Could you tell the court and jury your name, please?
Sean William Hyde,
And Mr. Hyde, where do you live?
Orlando, Florida.
And were you related to Thomas Hyde?
Yes, I was his brother.
Donnie's in here. Donnie.
Did there come a time when you learned that your brother, well, let's go back. How many brothers and sisters do you have besides Thomas?
I have one brother and one sister.
Okay. And was Thomas your only brother?
No,
Who was your other brother?
I have a brother Brian that lives in Orlando also.
Okay. I'm sorry?
I have a brother Brian that lives in Orlando also.
Okay. And your sister?
She lives in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay. How did you fit in terms of the age of your...
I'm the youngest.
Okay. And how much older was Tom than you?
8 years.
Okay. And are your parents still alive?
My mother is.
Okay. And where does your mom live?
Orlando, Florida.
Is that the same place that you live?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about what Tom was like when he was growing up?
He was very active, very active. Always hunting, fishing. He loved camping. He loved being outdoors. He was the type of person that was willing to try anything. He loved to just enjoy himself.
You don't see Bugle Boy anymore.
I love Bugle Boy.
Dude, that was everywhere, man.
I used to wear Bugle Boy with my parachute pants.
What took Bugle Boy out? That was everywhere. That was so hot in the 90s.
So were parachute pants.
Yeah.
early 90s, man. Early 90s.
Damn. I've forgotten about that brand.
Can you describe your relationship with him?
We had a pretty good relationship. We fished all the time. We talked quite a bit. He was my big brother, and we communicated quite a bit, and
Poor guy.
he was just, like I said, he was my big brother, and
Did you and him share some similarities or some common traits, do you think?
yeah, we were a lot alike, I would say.
In what ways?
In what
ways?
We had a lot of the same interests. We enjoyed doing a lot of the same things. We got along really good. I'd like to think that I was more of a friend to him than his brother.
Did there come a time when you learned that Tom had become sick?
Yes.
How did you learn that?
He came down to Florida in September, and he had told my family that he had become ill with ALS.
September of what year?
That was 92.
Okay. What can you tell us about the way he looked to you at that time?
I had noticed his arms were getting thinner. The muscles in his chest had all but deteriorated as far as he lost a lot of the muscle tone in his
my computer. I'm like, why can't I hear this?
Yeah, just now I saw a comment.
chest and in his stomach. He was starting to lose his ability to walk like he had before. I noticed he'd lost a little control in the use of his fingers. I guess it just it was kind of hard for him sometimes to even pull a cigarette out of a pack of cigarettes.
Did he express to you an understanding of what this disease was and what was going to happen to him?
Yeah.
Yo, Joe Jackalone in the house.
Oh, Jackalone!
What's up, man? Thanks for coming in here.
What's up, dude? Guy. Yeah, Shannon, I'm you have couch bob today, so I had to do adjusting. Like the computer's on the pillow.
Woo. That's good. Got to be ultimately comfy, man.
Hey, listen, dude, it's Sunday morning. It's like before 8, or it started at 8 for me, so you get.
Hell yeah.
He hadn't really explained. He didn't know how to. It was very hard for him to explain. He had given me a pamphlet on ALS and asked me to read it. and that way it would be because it was easier for me to read it and understand it than for him to tell me, because it was really hard for him.
Prior to him coming down, were you aware that he had been stricken with a fatal illness?
I knew he was in the hospital, but I had no idea.
In terms of his acceptance of his fate, how did he appear to you when he came down and told your family what he had got and what the disease was?
He was very upset with it. He had expressed to me that he did not want.
What was it?
Under his eye. Do you even know what that's from, Steve?
I don't know what that's from. What is that from?
Wow. Come on, dude.
I don't think.
Come on, dude. It's Handmaid's Tale, which is
I've
amazing.
never watched that.
Well,
I can't get past the trailer.
Fix your life. Fix your life.
I don't like the trailer of that, bro.
But dude, here's what you're thinking about Handmaid's Tale. You see the kind of the cover art for that, and you see the woman in the kind of the puritanical red thing with that thing on her head, and you're like, oh god, that looks horrible. And it's one of the best shows ever made. It's like,
I've heard that from people.
No, do you know what the concept is? At all?
Not, I mean, kind of, yeah. Like repressing women in the past, right?
Kind of. So it's the nutshell is it's like dystopian future.
It's not real.
It's not real.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. I thought it was reality.
No. So, but I could see it happening in the near future if Trump gets reelected.
Oh shit, gotcha.
So what happens is, like, because of environmental and other various reasons, women start becoming infertile. Like, women can't have babies anymore, and it becomes like a huge issue. There's like a small percentage of women that are still fertile, so we're not populating the planet anymore. So this group forms called the Gilead. Okay, and they've decided it's run by all men, and they go to like old school. It's a document.
I thought it was a period piece. I thought it was actually.
You're a period piece, Steve.
Like, I didn't know it was like a made up tale. Like, I'm way more intrigued.
No, dude, it's not. It's and it takes place in the future, even though it looks like it's old time.
That's what I thought. I thought it was from like the 1800s or something.
Dude, it's anything but. But they live. So that's what they do. They go back to like early biblical times. So basically they go to war, they take over like a portion of the United States. Okay, so there's still, like, Canada is still free, the rest of the world is like watching Gilead, like this country that has formed this government, they like a legitimate government kind of, and they basically strip women of all their rights. And women that are fertile, they make them handmaids. So all the commanders, like, who are kind of like the government, who form the government, they all have a handmaid, and these are fertile women, and they have this bizarre thing where it's like a ceremony where they have like their legs are intertwined with the commander's wives, and then they have sex with them in order to impregnate them. And then
that sounds insane.
Dude, I was like, they always say, like, it's like under his eye is a way to say, like, blessed be the fruit. They have all these bizarre dude, it's like,
you intrigued me for sure.
Forget the way it looks in terms of a trailer. Forget it. Like,
dude, I didn't even get through the trailer. I was like, I'm out. I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
That's what I'm trying to say, dude. I was 3 years looking at that thing, like, no, we can't.
That's me. Yeah, this never went in.
As soon as I watched it, I was like, oh, it's one of the
wow. No, that sounds really cool, actually. I like stuff like that.
It's awesome, dude.
Nice.
All right, that's my pitch for Handmaid's Tale.
I'm going to give that a watch and then have to report back, for real.
The end result of what the disease would be. He did not want to.
I've heard it's brutal, though. Anyone that tells me to watch it goes, well, dude, it is really wild.
It is brutal. It's like the concept of it, that like they're just raping these women. Like, it's just like unequivocally. They've stripped women of all the right. Like the first episode, they're literally, because like the main character, they live in the States. Like, I don't know if she's in New York. She's like an editor, like, for like either a newspaper or for novels. She's super bright. And like when this thing happens, they're like stripped, like women are like, okay, you no longer have any rights or any property whatsoever. It's like, what? You know, and it's like they take over like portions of the country. There's like still spots in the United States, and it's like, dude, it's like
you've intrigued me like by the story, but like the fact that it's just in the United States and the rest of the world is watching,
right?
Oh my god, that sounds crazy.
They have that whole thing, like the interplay between countries and what countries think of Gilead, and them trying to sell themselves diplomatically that look, it works. It's crazy. So
is this a documentary about Saudi Arabia that we're talking about?
Yeah, right.
That's what you're explaining, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, it's except way more extreme.
No, that sounds crazy,
Saudi Arabia, but it's
he had explained to me what usually happens as far as choking on saliva or being put on respirators and the feeding tube and everything, and he didn't want to die like that.
Did he express some understanding to you of his knowledge that is the end?
Dude, the hardest part would be, I mean, it'd be horrible knowing that your life is going to be ending on this disease that's eating away at you, but telling your family, like exactly what he's saying, like he gave him a pamphlet, he couldn't even talk about it. Like, dude, that would be so fucking rough, man.
Well, how do you, right, especially with the ALS, man, and it's so rapid. Like once you're diagnosed with it, it's like, you know, it's like the equivalent of like stage 4 cancer. There is, you know, and it destroys you like physically. Like you cannot operate in any form or fashion. You become like a complete invalid, like within months, typically. I mean, typically, yeah, it's brutal, you know, and that goes to this thing, like this trial's so different because the state is claiming that there's a victim, but the family of the guy that Kevorkian helped, you know, kill himself does not consider him to be a victim. You know, right. It's not unlike the other trial that you can imagine, unless it's like, you know, there's victimless crimes like drug cases. But, you know, in terms of when you're dealing with a death and you look at a case like this, that, you know, the irony that you're going to get the parade of family, like saying this guy Kevorkian did like a massive solid for my loved one. Like he wasn't a victim in this case.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, it's a
weird one.
It's super interesting, man.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm glad we did this, man.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Result, like you've heard Dr. Klawans and Dr. Kassem indicate of this terrible disease.
Yes. He had read up probably everything he could possibly get his hands on to understand it.
Did he seem to you fearful or upset about what was going to happen?
He was terrified.
What do you mean?
You could look into his eyes when he talked about it, and you could see he was absolutely terrified.
In terms of medical treatment, what was your understanding of what he was attempting to do for any symptoms of the disease in September back in 1992?
They had prescribed him Leorazol, and they had given him volumes to calm him down, and that was pretty much the only thing that I knew of. He had explained to me, and after reading, that it would be fatal to him.
Other than the terror you saw in his eyes, did he express any problems in terms of pain or discomfort that he was suffering at that time?
Yeah, his joints were stiff, his hands, the muscle cramps. He had a lot of pain in his shoulders from non-use, in his elbows, and at the time he had just started to where it was hard for him to get around.
What do you mean?
As far as walking, sometimes he'd walk down the stairs and he would fall down. I mean, he'd just fall flat right on the patio. And
was that embarrassing to him?
Yes, very embarrassing.
What else?
There was just he could walk sometimes without his cane, but
he had a cane at this time?
Yes.
How old was he in September of 1992?
29.
How did it feel, or did he express to you any of his feelings about having to use a cane at age 29?
Yeah, he was
So young.
It was almost degrading to him. He felt that it wasn't. I guess he felt it was unfair, but in the end, he knew that there was nothing that could be done. I mean, it was.
Did he make any plans with you about what would be done towards the end at that time?
As far as
what should happen to him if he became unable to move or anything, was that ever discussed with you?
Yes, he was very adamant.
Is the base of a breakfast pizza gravy, P. Fox? Like the sauce, would that be gravy?
What?
I've never heard of a breakfast pizza.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I want to know what it's got to be gravy.
I mean, there's people that call like a marinara, like my grandfather, who was of course Italian on my Italian side. You know, he'd say, "Bobby, you take the bread and you sop up the gravy, and then you know." But he was talking about red sauce, where most people consider gravy to be like, you know,
white
like a sausage gravy,
right?
Like
yeah.
Gravy, you know, or gravy that you put on meats and things like that.
Yeah,
but,
I've never heard red sauce for like Italian spaghetti called, an Italian dish called gravy.
Yeah, it's like,
wow.
Well, I think only Italians are allowed to do it, so you can't do it, Steve.
Oh God, yeah, I was just preferencing it. God, I'm gonna get canceled right now.
I kid, Steve. You are, you're, in my heart, you're Italian.
About not having any. He did not want to be resuscitated if he had expired. He did not want any feeding tubes. He absolutely did not want to be put on a respirator. He was every time he went to the hospital, he went to the hospital one time, and he was almost unwilling to go because he was afraid that they would put him on a respirator.
He went to the hospital one time while he was in Orlando visiting?
No, well, this was after I came up here.
Okay. When's the next time you saw him then? Or how long did he stay with you in September?
He was there for about a week, almost 2 weeks.
When did you see him next?
Approximately about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks before Christmas.
And how did you happen to see him? Did you see him in Orlando, or were you here in Detroit?
I'd come up here to visit with him and his son and Carmen and Hyde, and we were going to drive back down.
It's got to have eggs. Any kind of breakfast pizza has to have eggs.
Found one here with bacon. Looks pretty good. I mean,
I'll tell you, dude. You get to like a small town.
That is gravy, though.
What?
Yeah, that's gravy in there. Like, that looks crazy, I think. Like,
what's gravy?
That one doesn't, but like that first one did. This one, like it looks like the gravy would be like the white sauce or the red sauce.
Isn't that the cheese, Steve?
I see yellow cheese, but that white I think's gravy.
What about two types of cheese, Steve? They have.
It could be. It could be.
Mozzarella is a nice white cheese, Steve.
That's true. It could be. But that's.
I mean, there's got to be some kind of like sauce,
yeah,
right?
That does look like mozzarella. You're right.
I mean, but is that some dry? Like on the East Coast, they have this white pizza, which is not my jam. It's like basically pizza without sauce.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they don't have that in Chicago, at least that I'm aware of, because it's like, how do you make pizza without the sauce, bro? It's like it's some dry shit. Like isn't that cheese bread? Like it's no longer pizza if you're just making pizza. If you have crust and cheese, it's cheesy bread.
It's got to be a little bit. You got to get a little bit of dampness in there.
You need the sauce.
It's got to be a little wet.
Wait, up top it had gravy. So what's that say? Look. Under the bacon, coupon, gravy, sausage, gooey, cheese, lard. You see what I'm talking about?
It's gravy. It's gravy.
What kind of gravy, Steve? Do some research here, man.
Well,
like, what do you mean?
The only
sausage,
the sausage gravy, like the white sausage gravy, is what it looks like.
Yeah. All right, my great grandma. So
that's what I would think.
My Irish Scottish half, like my great grandma, who was like a Southern gal down in Arkansas. Dude,
yeah.
I want to tell you a story about her sausage gravy. She had like that cast iron skillet that had been seasoned for literally probably 40 years. Like,
yeah.
Dude. And her, like, my entire life, I've spent trying to find sausage gravy that, like, even comes close to how delicious this stuff was, man. You know, and it's been impossible, Steve.
Dude, that's how I am with my grandma's food, dude. She used to make fried chicken that I've never tasted in my life from anywhere else ever again. Like,
I mean, dude, it's amazing. It's amazing.
They probably don't have this gravy even in the UK, Charlotte. They eat black pudding in the morning over there. I don't know if you know that. Their breakfast is, dude, an English breakfast, a full English breakfast looks insane.
Sausage gravy.
Like a full English breakfast, dude. You got to have the beans. You got to have the black sausage. Or the black pudding, rather.
Bangers
and mash. The big old wieners.
I mean, they like to boil food over there, you know.
They do they'll boil some food now.
They'll boil some meats.
They like big old mushroom.
Oof. I mean, that is like maybe the most unappealing looking pan of I've ever seen.
The black pudding, bro.
Like, even with those delightful little sunny side up eggs, it still looks repugnant. Whoa.
Who the fuck is going to eat this shit, bro?
Hey.
This is black pudding. Like,
hey, listen, I'll fuck with some sausage, but that looks, woo.
It looks crazy. What is she saying? I know she's freaking out.
She's getting super pissed.
She's done left the chat. She's like, I'm out.
She's like, fuck y'all. Talking shit about my black sausage.
Oh, God.
Down to Florida for so everybody and the family could get together for Christmas.
Had his condition changed at that time,
Yes.
Sean? Tell us how.
Hold on. I'm sorry I keep pausing, but I'm so unhappy. I had a healthy whole grain breakfast this AM. I want junk food. I've never in my life had a healthy breakfast, okay?
Well, what do you consider healthy, dude? Like
anything with like vegetables. If it's not a biscuit, sausage, gravy.
Is there an
bacon,
egg?
Always an egg. Yeah.
There's fucking, dude, there's nothing healthy. I don't give a shit what anybody says.
The egg makes it healthy.
That is the superfood of the world.
Well, it is
like,
a superfood.
Yeah, remember, like, dude, like 20 years ago, like, oh, egg whites. No, that's all bullshit. Eggs are an absolute superfood. Like, it's my number one. I consider myself to be pretty healthy. Like 4 years ago, I completely changed my diet, dude. Like, eggs are my absolute go-to. Like that, I eat more eggs than anything else. Allison will whip me up. Like I do like kind of the night cooking, and she does the breakfast cooking.
Yeah.
Put that up, dude, and she crushes these egg bowls for me. It's like I can make you an egg bowl, or actually Allie would, that would blow your fucking hair back.
Oh man, hell yeah!
And it's healthy. It's like it's all about seasoning, bro.
Yeah.
Like if you season food properly, everything's delicious. You know,
I need to eat more healthy for sure, dude. I eat
God
like
damn
shit.
it, Steve. We want you around.
I'm
Fix your
terrible.
life. Eat more healthy.
I need to. I'm terrible, dude. Like I can't.
I mean, you're still young though.
Nothing but shit.
It's like when you start getting older, you'll start, really taking it more serious. Like
You're right.
I was
I'm
getting
in my
older.
mid-30s. I'm a young man. You're damn right.
Yeah, exactly.
He couldn't walk without at least the assistance of his cane. He had gotten thinner as far as his arms and his legs. I noticed he would shake more. When he would get cold, his legs would start shaking or his hands would start shaking. And he was getting pretty depressed, very depressed.
At that time, you mentioned Heidi and Carmen. Who are they?
Carmen is Tom's daughter, and Heidi was his fiance.
And how old was Carmen at that time?
About 8 months.
Okay. And in terms of Tom's living situation at that time, who was he residing with?
Heidi and Carmen.
Okay. Who was taking care of him at that time?
He was still able to do things for himself. He was still able to cook. Like he said, he could still get around, but he had. I noticed that he had deteriorated pretty rapidly.
That's mom and grandmom right there, right?
Yeah, I think so.
He was still able to take care of it.
Actually, I think this was the lady. I think this was his woman. I think this was. I don't know if they were married, but I think this was his lady.
His wife?
Yeah. That's right. Because we watched a video earlier, and he was like being interviewed with Kevorkian. It was on episode 2, and it was rough. She was basically answering for him, and kind of getting him through the process of the interview because he couldn't even speak. But I believe that's who that was. Now, I bet that's his mother beside here.
See, dude, like that's just fucking crazy. So this guy was super young, right? Like I've got, like my daughter, our oldest is like 30, and I do not look old like that lady.
Dude, people don't age like that anymore, right?
Weird, isn't it? It's such a weird
40-year-old in the 90s looks so old. Like
my grandfather, my grandparents, like when they were my age, looked.
Dude, you look my age right now. You look 40. Like I don't understand you. Like what's going on? Are you a vampire?
I mean, I'm trying.
You look amazing, bro.
You drink a lot of human blood, but that's off the record.
No, you're right, dude. It freaks me out when I watch old shows and stuff. I tell you what, I watch a lot of old wrestling. These old wrestlers that are like the jobbers, the fat, out of shape ones that get beat up by the guys that are like the stars. Those guys are my age. And they are bald, and they they look like they're 60. It's wild.
Dude, it's so weird. Is that evolution? I guess.
And people don't really, I guess, work as hard now as they used to. Maybe like life's not truly as hard as it was.
I mean, you think that like I'm talking like wrinkles, gray hair, type shit. Like you think that was from hard work, Steve?
It's stress and hard work. Yeah, stress definitely ages you.
No, that's no question about that.
It'll get you wrinkled up.
Stress is crippling, man. It's
but I don't know. I mean,
yeah, it's weird, man. It's
fucking weird though.
I always have that conversation because it trips me out, man.
But you trip me out.
Oh, thanks.
Like, you're tripping me the fuck out right now.
I would give you the biggest hug if I was right now. Fucking huge bear hug.
But dude, yeah, this lady's probably 51 years old.
Yeah,
this lady's probably 50.
She's probably younger than I am,
bro. It's trippy.
Fucking crazy
himself.
Did he express to you any concern about his continued deterioration?
Yes.
What sort of things would he express?
That he was scared. He was, because he had noticed the same changes that I had noticed, obviously. And it, like I said, it frightened him. It terrified him.
Did he make any plans with you at that time about what should happen if things continued to get worse? He had discussed.
That's crazy, isn't that?
That's crazy as shit. Yeah.
Posted. That's like totally fucking true,
dude. That is trippy
girls
as
in the
fuck.
New Sex and the City series, the characters are the same age. Let that resonate,
dude.
Like that is like an amazing example of exactly what we're talking about. It's crazy.
That's a good question. Did you ever smoke cigarettes?
I did actually. I've been off for like 15, maybe longer. But yeah, no, like I was a dipper because I was an athlete in high school. So I started dipping. So I was on the tobacco when I started college. I'm like, oh, I can't talk to the ladies with like a dip in my mouth, like walking around the bar with a spit cup and, oh, excuse me, with my GARP glass.
You're not in West Virginia. That's fine.
No,
here.
Right.
Ladies are like, oh shit, he's got a dip in. Fuck.
Right. But
he's got a job.
At that point, the nicotine had its claws into me, which if you've ever smoked, there's nothing more insidious than nicotine.
Dude, I want Dan to quit. Dan smokes. And my whole thing is I'm trying to find a hypnotist to have on the show because I just want to have one on the show. But locally, we have a hypnotist that comes into this. I know you've heard of this. They try to get people to quit smoking.
Yeah,
I want to take them to see if it works. Like I've heard people say it does.
Allie was. We were both we were in law school. We both started law school. We both smoked. I mean, that was 20 plus years ago. But it was like that was kind of how we like socialization wise. Like a lot of that was how we met in law school. Like kind of our friend group formed out of the people that were the smokers out in front of the law school.
Yeah.
Actually,
when I went to college, there was a smoking area out there, and I've never smoked in my life, and I would just chill with the smokers. That's where I'd be hanging and banging.
Dude, it's
out in the fucking cold, waiting for them to finish so we could go inside.
And it's like it's rare to see people smoking in the States anymore. You go to Europe, they smoke like fucking chimneys, man.
Oh wow, they're still into it heavily. I know Italy, right? Man. Italy's the biggest one, right?
It's crazy. I was my buddy's got like a resort that they own in Austria. Yeah, they're loaded. But his family owns like this huge resort. And when I took the whole family out there, And over there, the drinking age is like whatever, you know, if like you can see over the bar,
8.
you get in. So like after we would ski, like I took like my older kids who were under 18 at the time. We went to this, like we'd go to these bars, which were packed. I mean, like the humanity of these bars, and every single like kid in there, that was the smokiest, most unpleasant, hellish bar I'd ever been to, because every single person in there was smoking. It was like the smokiest place I'd ever been. And I realized, like, when Allie and I graduated law school and went to Europe, like they smoke.
They love smoking.
Still heavily. And it's still to this day, they still smoke.
Yeah, I have noticed in America, it seems like it's not as prevalent as it was with the younger people.
It's
like,
not even close. Well, everyone's vaping.
Well, that's true too. I don't know if that's any better. That's a good point. Yeah.
Right. I think it's not. That's why I was going to say.
point.
Allie's still vaping. And I just last night, I was like, you got to quit vaping. You know, you have to.
Yeah. Yeah, I want Dan to quit smoking, though. I don't like it. I want
to. Shelby asked what my skincare. It's basically drinking human blood as much as possible. That's what.
I knew it. I knew it. Oh shit! Hold on. Shannon's going to gift out a membership. Sheila Duffy's going to get that.
I'm sober enough to know
yeah.
what I'm doing, and I'm drunk enough to really enjoy doing it.
Love it. Love it. Welcome in here. Actually, I think today I'm going to be dropping something new for members only. It's going to be the second ever episode, literally the second ever thing we ever did, which is me and Dan watching this movie called Curse of Bigfoot, and just us hanging out. The second episode of that will be coming for members only. So
I love Bigfoot. Yeah, hey,
man.
Joe Jackalone was telling us that there's they've got this new thing where we get to gift out memberships.
That's true. How do you do that?
I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out. Joe was talking about yesterday. Like, everyone needs to go over to Joe's feed and his channel, because he's going to be the first out of the homies to institute that.
I see that right now, actually.
Yeah, he got it figured out. So
I'm going to gift out 5 right now.
What? You figured it out?
I think so.
What?
I just gifted out 5. Yeah. The Beard Life, P. Fox, Trouble, Donnie, and Jay. Hell yeah. First of all, Bob, all you got to do, hit the money sign down there when you're doing it. And there's a thing at the very bottom now called membership gifting. Buy memberships for viewers. Bro,
so how many times? So I think Joe said we get to do it once a month?
I got 5 more. Yeah, 5. Yeah, 10 in a month. That's right.
10 a month. Cool,
dude. That's a really cool thing, man. That gets people like
cool thing
interested during a live. And holy shit, Art with Viv coming through, $20, passing the plate. Love it. Thank you, Viv. Love it. I'm gonna hit you with my new one too. I got a cool one. Everybody's got a price. Thank you very much, Viv. That's awesome. And I've got 5 more to give out. I don't know if I'm going to save them or what. That was fucking dope. That was cool. 10 in a month. Hell yeah. Well, welcome in, guys. Hope you all enjoy some of the membership perks.
Look at this.
Let's go.
Glorious.
He's committing suicide.
Under what circumstances did he discuss that?
He, as far as...
Did he want to die?
No, he didn't want to die, but he didn't want to. One of the main things he didn't want his children to see him like this. He was almost embarrassed, but he said it frightened him. It frightened him beyond belief, and he didn't want them to see him suffer.
Was he afraid of suffering?
He was suffering a lot. Yes, he was.
How long did you see him during this period of time in Christmas of '92?
Up until New Year's.
Did you return home to Florida then?
Yeah, I stayed in Florida.
When's the next time you saw Tom?
Approximately the very end of March.
How'd you happen to see him then?
I had moved up here.
Okay. Can you describe what you observed at that time, Sean?
I had noticed a rapid deterioration of his condition.
Like what?
Before he was able to pick his pills up and take it. It got to where he couldn't even pick up his pills to take them in the morning anymore. He was using a walker to get around. It was a lot harder for him to clean himself, to shave, to do anything for himself. I mean, there was things he was still able to do. He had gotten a motorized scooter so he could get around. It was a lot easier for him to get around because he liked he didn't want to be pushed around in a wheelchair. If he was going to do something,
Everybody going crazy in the chat. Let's see what's going on here. Joanne coming through. Happy Sunday, y'all. Pass the plate to the left. Give her a little love.
Yeah, baby.
Out here, baby. That's awesome. Love it. Boom, boom. They want a little Sunday morning dancing. That's what they want. And Jay coming through. Gifted out a membership. Chris Do It. Grabbing that one. Hell yes. Nice. That's his tag team partner.
Listen,
Justice.
Chris absolutely deserves a membership. You know what I mean?
He does, absolutely. One of my favorite people ever to have on the show, dude. He's so informative.
He's awesome. He does amazing shit, dude. He's really a fascinating guy.
I wish he would do something. Like instead of just being a guest, every time he's on here, I'm like, dude, pick that shit back up.
He's biding his time, Chris
He is.
I guarantee you, Chris has got shit running around that brain of his, trying to figure out what his next move is going to be. But I assure you, that'll be a next move.
But I'm fucking so glad that he hangs out with us, man, because he is
dude, it's awesome.
It's awesome. Kelly, welcome in here. And then, oh shit, Sarah's going to come out here as well. Give me the loot. Give me the loot. $4.99. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Sarah. All you guys are the best. Holy shit. Kelly Hell going to come through with a membership also. Wow.
Everybody's giving to the heart, Steve.
Goodness. Welcome to the party, pal. Welcome in here, guys. Seriously. Yeah. Love it. The beers and they're flowing. Beers are flowing early. Y'all gonna be drunk early on a Sunday in church.
Drunk motherfuckers on a Sunday.
Good lord. Love it. Love it.
Like back in my drinking days, I'd be getting shit faced right now, getting ready for this Bears game. It's like,
wow, this early.
The odds that like the Bears are sitting at a nasty 5-8, and I'm like actually excited about this game. It's like that's how the Bears are. They're just so bad that like if you get like a glimmer, like they won a couple games in a row. They had kind of a signature win last week against the Lions. I was at it. It was great.
Oh, nice.
That's why I told you that's why I wasn't at the church. I got season tickets. So like, and if we're going to the game, Bears have noon games. So we go down early, tailgate, do that thing. And, but like if they win out, these motherfuckers could make the playoffs, so they suck me back in. So today's either going to be, optimism galore if they win or, soul crushing, which I'm very used to. Dude, it's been years of hate watching, where you're watching and all it does is just make you super angry.
Yeah.
Like you derive zero joy out of watching them. It just makes you want to like murder people. Like you'll be watching me on Murder Church because of my Bears fandom. Like 4 years ago, I filed like I prepared a petition for dissolution. When the Bears win, Bob gets tanked. When the Bears lose, Bob's get tanked. Yeah, true. Except it's just weed because I quit drinking.
That's way better.
Yeah, it's way better. It's way better.
That's awesome. Well, hopefully they win today, dude.
Dude, I'm telling
Honestly.
you, it's a big one. It's a big one. It is the Chicago way, Chris. There's no question about that, brother.
Wanted to do it himself.
Did he express to you any concern about his continued deterioration and his inability to care for, or his inability to care for his essential needs?
He was very concerned with it. That he was glad that I was there to help him, and that was why I was here.
What sort of things did you do to help him in March of '93?
I'd help him get out of bed in the morning.
How would you help him get out of bed?
It was hard for him to sit up.
If you weren't there, who was helping him at that time?
He had friends come over, and he was still able to do it to an extent.
How about Hyde?
Yes. Yeah. Hyde helped him continually.
Okay. What sort of things would you do to help?
He said I would help him get so he could go in and bathe. I would cook breakfast.
When you say so he could go in and bathe, what would you have to do?
Well, usually I would pick him up I would help pull him. He would hold my hands, and I would pull him up out of bed so he could get to his walker.
How old was he at that time?
He was 30. And
how old?
I would get him.
How old did he say I coughed? Right?
I think he said 30.
Oh man, dude, can you imagine?
They couldn't, man. Like that'd be so devastating.
And this is such a tough, like, how old do you think this kid is?
This
Probably
one right here, yeah,
26, maybe.
yeah, maybe a little bit younger.
Yeah, and it's like he's sitting up here, like, because that question that he asked, did he want to die? When you're sitting here with this case, when that's kind of like the state's point, did he want to die? And his answer was no. Of course, he didn't want to die, but he did at some point. When the quality of life is over, I mean, it's got to be our own choices.
Yeah, dude.
Like, the government cannot tell us when we can and can't decide to call it. You know what I mean? If your quality of life is nothing, or if you just have zero physiological capability to be able to ambulate or do anything, man.
Speak, swallow, like
anything, dude. Like the ALS is next level horrible, man, in terms of diseases. It's like, it's brutal.
Yeah, I wasn't really familiar with it, honestly, until I started getting into this, and I've done some more research, and dude, it is so sad.
And and the thing is it's like I'd say like late 80s, early 90s, it was like, the rare, like super rare, seems way more prevalent. Like,
wow.
I probably know of, like, I've been fortunate. I don't have any like close friends that have been stricken with it, but I know like 1 degree of separation, like 5-6 different people that have been like come down with it. And it's like 6 months and you're done.
Dude.
I mean, dude, this shit has to be environmental, to a certain extent. I think there's probably a genetic component to it, or maybe it's dormant.
But yeah, what has made it tick up so bad in the last 20 years?
It's like it's the concept of like peanut allergies. Like, that shit did not, like, I swear, when I was in grade
everybody has them.
No, like, no one had a peanut allergy when I was in grade school. There was no like, you can't eat peanut butter at school because the kid next to you will die. It's like, it has to be environmental. It has to be like like allergies, like what? How could that have? Because like the kids would have still been getting sick if it existed and they hadn't figured out, well, oh, you're allergic to peanuts. I mean, they understood allergies in the 70s and 80s, right? So it seems like it's a newer thing where, I don't know.
And the way parents lived in the 70s, yeah, they definitely were not.
Oh, dude.
In the 80s, like, it really was a different time for stuff like that.
Dude, man, I'd be like sliding around in the back seat of there was no.
Dude, yes. Yeah.
Smoking in the car.
Yeah, dude.
Windows rolled up.
I think I was I guess I was the last generation for that. Because, like, yeah. My grandma drove a Nova, dude. There was holes in the floor. There wasn't no seatbelts.
My dad had a fucking beater Nova too, man. He had a
1970 Nova.
That actually did have a rusted out hole in the passenger.
Dude, yeah, you could see the road, bro. I was like, well, this is
good. It's so funny. That must have been a Nova thing. My dad had a shit brown Nova. Chevy
this
Nova.
one is brown too.
Brown Town.
Yeah, dude.
Brown's a real under. When are they going to bring back the brown whips?
In the 70s, brown was a they loved brown in the 70s, dude. Like the dingy colors the 70s rocked, like the orange dingy brown color.
Exactly.
It looks good too.
Brown Town.
Into his walker, and sometimes he had problems getting his pants down because he couldn't grasp a hold of them because he lost so much control with his fingers that it was hard for him to even take his pants off. He couldn't tie his shoes. He couldn't put his socks on anymore.
How about in terms of going to the bathroom? Could he do that by himself?
He was still able to. Sometimes he did need help.
That's what it is. Like like what Jay said.
Yeah.
And I agree. Jersey Jen had said, like the processed food shit, like, is out of control.
Dude.
But in terms of if we were able to see, like, with our naked eye, the amount of like waves and just shit that we're walking through, like, as Jay was talking about, like the 7,000 cell towers, it's like way beyond just cell towers. It's like we're walking through what has to be just like an unbelievable amount. Like, if we could physically like see what we're walking through, like in terms of like, like when we go through an x-ray machine or whatever the fucking things are at the airport, that you stand in that tube with the thing. Put your arms up and like, oh, the cancer machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, but we're walking through that shit, especially like in super urban areas where there's just all kinds of shit. Like even in our house, like Wi-Fi.
Oh yeah, dude. We're walking through all that shit. That's true.
Oh, man, dude.
We're like the guinea pigs for all this, right? Like this is the first.
I'm ready.
The beginning of all of.
I'm ready to go back to basics, but as like I'm sure at this point you've come around to my way of thinking about the AI shit. Like I'll never forget our first conversation.
Yeah, and I don't know what happened. It was a couple of days ago. I said we should revisit this. I think we should.
Yeah.
Get me, you, Dan on here. Maybe somebody else on here to talk.
It's coming, man. Like, I had a really interesting conversation with like our Thanksgiving trip. Because like everybody that knows me knows. It's like I've tried to chill out on like we're all gonna die talk, just to freaking people out. But
I talk about that like too much in real life. People get.
I mean, but it was like so. My Allie's cousin is like a brilliant computer. He's a tech guy, but he's in that sector, like working with AI, and like we had like so. Yeah, let's do another AI thing because like his concept of how AI is gonna take us down. Like much quicker than like kind of my concept that like it's big, the sentient thing, and it's just going to be exponentially more brilliant than we are instantaneously. Is that things with like deep fakes, like where like, and I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, there's nothing from stopping like law enforcement, or say I wanted to set you up for like say I wanted to commit a perfect murder. Create a fall guy for myself, set somebody up. Like I could easily make a deep fake, like where it's you allegedly having a phone conversation with somebody and where you're admitting to, committing the crime. I mean, like the way that it's going to affect our criminal justice system.
Yeah, dude. No, I hear you for sure.
To differentiate what's real and what's not. And it becomes like evidence in a case.
Because that would become the jury trying to figure out, is this real or not at this point, right?
Dude.
And would that even come up? They're like, well, here's this audio that we have.
That's what I'm saying.
And this is completely fake. And wow. Dude. Yeah, dude.
I mean, yeah, it's like, it's crazy. And just like when you think of it like on a global scale, in terms of just how it could be used to start like wars.
Yeah, bro. That's freaking me out.
Yeah, it's like, the possibilities are endless, Steve.
They really are. Yeah, we're entering a really weird time, bro. Like,
yeah, AIs love tacos, so it's super cool.
And then there was a post the other day that AI, I guess, now has the ability, or maybe they figured out that it has the ability to create other AIs. Like it can create
that baby
what the
AI.
Fuck?
Baby AI, I mean,
dude. Now that AI is going to have a superiority complex over the little AIs, right? They're like, oh, listen,
the little AI will have a superiority complex over us, but the big, but it'll be wanting to outgrow its daddy AI,
dude,
mommy AI.
I don't like this at all.
The whole thing is.
I don't like this at all.
Setting him down, but usually he'd had a couple incidents where he wasn't able to make it to the bathroom in time, and that was humiliating for him.
How would he wash himself?
Heidi usually helped him to take a bath. He had a shower bench, which you had to lift his feet up so he could get in there, but like I stated before, he liked to do things himself, and sometimes he would get angry if you tried to help him, but it was so hard for him. He had a brush which he couldn't even reach up over his back anymore to scrub his back.
Was he the type of person that wanted other people to make decisions for him?
No, absolutely not.
What type of person was he in that regard, in terms of controlling his own life and his own destiny?
He wanted absolute control. As far as he was concerned, he was the only one in control, and he was the only one that would ever have control.
Do you feel that he would ever come to accept, or ever came to accept, his total loss or his inability to be able to be in control of his own life and destiny?
Well,
Would he ever accept
Would
it?
he accepted it? No.
How did he eat at that time?
He was still able to eat. It was difficult. We had to make meals that were easy for him to eat, such as soft foods. Couldn't be any tough meats or anything. It had to be tender. But he was still able to. He would choke sometimes, but usually he would be able to get it back up to where he wouldn't choke.
Could he use a fork and utensils?
They had given him, it had to be a big fork or a big spoon, something that he could grasp a hold of, because he'd lost almost total control of his fingers as far as.
How was he dealing with his continued degeneration?
He was very distraught.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I got completely intrigued by that. Kelly Hill also. She thought it was a period piece also, The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, well, I mean, it looks like it. That's
yeah, dude. I just didn't. I just didn't put any effort into checking it out. I was like, I'm out. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, well, they typically the poster for it is like that picture of Elizabeth Moss, who's the lead actress in it, who's fucking amazing, by the way. Like in everything, like she was amazing in Mad Men. She's a great actor. But and it's got her in that that frock, that red thing with the thing, whatever, like the habit on her head. So you're looking at it, you're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, dude, it took me right out.
But I had not read at this point. I read Margaret Atwood's, she had written, and she wrote a follow up to it. But it's the book's brilliant, man. So I read it after the fact. Because once I got sucked into it, I'm like, the conception of it is it's insane. And you can see, when you watch it, you're like, man, we're dangerously close to this.
Wow.
We're the shit. There's gonna be. I mean, 2024 scares the hell out of me, dude.
Yeah.
A
lot of the conservative stuff is way over the top. It's insane.
Well, and it's just there's this division.
The division is
in this country that it's palpable.
Insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
I say that both extremes are terrible. We all need to kind of pick, what we can agree on and work from there.
Get on the fence. Well, back in the old days, you'd just have debates, oh, well, I don't think there should be social, but I don't want to pay taxes, so let's not have social programs, and it was fine. Now, we debate. Now it's fundamental shit.
Yeah.
To where. There's never going to be an impasse. People are never going to agree in terms of how we should live in this country. So I mean, at some point, I think it's going to have to be a real conversation. Do we just split off?
Right. That's kind of where we're headed, man.
There's nothing wrong with that. Because I'm not about to tell people how they should think and how they should, if they want to live a certain way. Good on them. You know what I mean? But don't fucking put your shit on me.
I know, dude.
I'm not trying to put my shit on you. And I understand, them not wanting us to put our shit on them. I get that.
Yeah.
So at some point where you've got two fundamental different ways to live, in terms of kind of morality and what, how you feel about certain things, why do we have to be forced to, because under one system of government, it's it'd just be this never-ending battle. It's when you think about government, where it's just people bickering over shit in terms of how we're choosing to live, and what really, when you break government down, it's all about how much power the government has over us, and it's kind of the conservative thought is less government. But to me, the way when you get a conservative Supreme Court, what they do is they chip away at civil liberties. What they do is they create laws that allow law enforcement to get into our shit more than searches become. They allow for Fourth Amendment civil liberties to be chipped at little by little, case by case, where they'll just take just a little bit more away from us and give a little bit more to the government, which is law.
And once those little things start getting chipped away, they don't come back.
They don't, or it's very difficult to get them back, So I don't know, man. It all
fucks with me.
Murder church, but You know, it's like all this shit, but this case makes me think all this shit. You know, I mean, it's literally the government saying, all right, well, yeah, we understand that, you know, your brother or your son or your husband had zero quality of life, but we're telling you that, you know, he can't decide for himself to call it a day.
Right.
You know? I mean, and it's like, should the government, like some amorphous entity that's just made up of people that are elected into positions, have that kind of control over us as individuals? And my answer is fuck no. It should.
Hell, fuck no. Yeah, dude.
No,
yeah.
I mean, no.
Because they put too much, like, a lot of the decisions that is coming from it is from religious aspects a lot of times, especially with the conservative side. And, dude, like that sucks, man.
Oh, dude, like
especially if I'm not religious and I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to rock and roll here.
Well, and especially when no one knows the answer. Like, everybody's speculating as far as religion.
Dude.
No, like, no one can prove a goddamn thing to me about religion. Like, and again,
it's impossible.
I'm all about people having faith, but that's all it is.
Same, bro.
You can't prove a damn thing. Like, you know, it's like I just try to live by the golden rule. I just try to be a good person to other people. I treat others as I want.
Same, dude. Yeah.
If I could do that, I figure whatever the case may be, at the end of the day, I'll probably be in decent shape.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I mean, it's like,
and at least your conscience will be clearer at the end, right? Like,
exactly.
That's how I think about it too, brother.
Yeah.
Was he suffering any pains from?
Yes, he was suffering. The cramps were very intense and lasted a long time. The stiffness was painful for his joints. I was instructed by a doctor at Ford Hospital. They had given me an instructional manual to do stretching exercises for him. And the stretching exercises were painful because he couldn't lift his arms up very far. And they said if we didn't stretch him, that it would progressively get worse and get more painful.
Did he express to you any of his concern or terror about what was about to happen to him? In terms of the ending of his life?
Yes.
What did he express to you?
That he did not. He didn't want to die by drowning in his saliva or laying in a hospital. He wanted to die peacefully, but at the time, he really didn't. He didn't really see an alternative other than to. He didn't want to kill himself by putting a gun in his mouth and shooting himself. He didn't want to die like that.
Could he have that time held a gun to his head and shot himself?
Probably, yeah. He probably could have.
What happened then? When's the next time you saw him? I
was living up here.
Okay.
And he was progressing very rapidly. From week to week, you were noticing differences. You know, something he would have been able to do the Monday before, he wasn't able to do this Monday, or his speech was getting a lot worse. Most people couldn't understand him. From listening to him and looking at him and knowing, you know, from being around him, knowing what he's asking for, what he's about to express. It got very tough, but it was like when we would go and see one of his friends or something, and he would be talking. He would talk to me, and then I would have to relay the message of what he just said to the individual who was speaking.
Beginning hard to understand him?
Yes, it was almost impossible.
Did there come a time when you and he went back down to Florida?
Yes.
When was that?
That was in June.
Why did you and he go to Florida?
He wanted to see if he could get the drugs to end his life.
Why did he want at that point in time to get drugs to end his life?
He was tired of the suffering. He didn't want to suffer anymore. What
sort of suffering was he going through that led up to him trying to go with you to Florida?
Mental suffering, physically suffering. It hurt him to look at his daughter and know that he couldn't pick her up anymore. He couldn't stand it.
How had he deteriorated by that time?
He was almost. He could still walk, but barely. Barely. It was very short steps. He would drag his feet because he didn't have the strength to lift them up all the way. His arms had gotten very, very weak.
Was he able to go to the bathroom by himself?
He had a tough time. He had a very tough time doing it.
Could he feed himself?
Yes, he was still able to.
Was he having?
But he was choking more.
How would those choking episodes go when he fed himself?
Usually he was able to get it up himself. And I had helped him once or twice before when he was choking to help him dislodge whatever he was choking on. But it did become more frequent.
Did you take him down to Florida?
Yes.
And what specifically were you and he looking for?
He was in hope of getting morphine.
Couldn't he ask, hadn't he tried to get it here?
I'm sure, I don't know. He may have, not that I know of, but quite possibly.
Why in Florida?
My stepfather had just died, and they were giving him morphine injections for pain, and he had thought that my mother would still have some of the morphine left, or would possibly have access to getting morphine.
And did you take him down to Florida?
Yes.
And what happened?
We were unable to get the morphine, and he.
All right, hold on one sec. I do want to shout this out. I Am Not T-Pain has been here for 3 months. I wanted to hit her with a little bit of love real quick.
She's awesome, dude.
Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary.
And also, she's got her own, she's got a couple of songs here.
I'm in love with a stripper. She poppin', she rollin'. All I got, no.
Yeah. Thank you, T-Pain. Love you. You guys are crazy. I see a lot of new faces in here also. Thank y'all for being here. You guys are amazing.
He was very adamant that he did want to die. He didn't. It wasn't. He was tired of suffering. He was very, very tired. He was so frustrated, and it was very mentally taxing.
Did there come a time at that time when you were aware that he tried to get a hold of Dr. Kevorkian? He had contacted.
He had gotten a pamphlet from the Hemlock Society, but he didn't. With the methods that they had, he couldn't have done. He would have had to have somebody help him. And then he had gotten Dr. Kevorkian's address and proceeded to type him a letter.
Were you aware that he was typing him a letter?
I had a very good idea, yes.
Did you mail that letter for him?
My mother did.
Were you there when he wrote it?
Yes.
Does he have it in? Does he have his earring in?
Yeah, I think so.
See, that was a big thing. Like, this is right, like I have, my hole still is not closed, but I had my ear pierced back in the left ear back in the, like the late 80s.
Gotcha, yeah. Did you rock that one right there, like the loop?
Yeah, I had a hoop. I had a stud. I had all kinds of stuff. Kind of miss it.
You got to get a diamond in there for the next live stream.
Dude, it was very small, but it was a chip.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah.
Rocking around.
Yeah, man.
I've never pierced or tatted anything. I've never done anything.
Your body is clean.
I'm a completely clean man.
You could be buried in a Jewish cemetery then. That's true, because like the rule has always been you can't you can't desecrate your body.
Yeah.
And be buried in a Jewish cemetery.
Well, I love tattoos, and I would honestly want, maybe probably later in life, but dude, I'm the worst at commitment, man. I'd be like the next day, oh damn it, why did I get this one? You know what I mean? Like,
well, I only have one. It's a Public Enemy tattoo on my shoulder.
Yeah.
And it's super
That's
small.
a good one.
It's like this. It's like this, but I got it when I was like in 18.
Yeah.
It's like, and like that was back before you had like amazing artists that just do the art now. Like you got the tattoo artists are like incredible.
They're crazy now,
man. It's unbelievable. So this guy had taken like the jewel case from the CD, because I went in with it and I'm like thinking that he'd blow it up. You know, he'd make it like this big.
Yeah.
Because like the P, it's like their I guess you call it emblem, or their brand was like the S1W. It's the dude with like the little beret.
Yeah.
It's in the, in a scope of a gun, and it's a dude who's got his arms crossed. And I mean, if you know, if you know what P is. So it was like, I went in thinking he'd do that. And I'm afraid of needles. So I was not watching what this guy was doing.
Yeah.
I didn't so he ends up making it the exact same size of the image on the jewel case. So it's like the size of maybe like a little smaller than a 50-cent piece.
Wow.
And it's like, you look at it when he's done, you're like, I'm thinking like, what the fuck? I'm like, you fucking serious? I'm like, oh, it looks great, man. And now it's like started to like, just, it looks like my buddies all call it like a prison tattoo, because it kind of looks like it at this point. It's like a E+-year-old tattoo. So I'm like, I could probably turn it into like just the head and make it bigger.
Yeah.
I'm very much down with, Public Enemy's message.
Dude, that's hilarious. You're like, oh, that's great, man.
Well, great job, buddy.
Let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
That's funny, man. One day I'm going to get one.
Defendant's proposed exhibit H. Is that a copy of the letter you saw your brother type to Dr. Kevorkian?
Yes.
Is that your brother's? Did your brother sign the letter like that?
Yes.
Is that the letter that your mother mailed to Dr. Kevorkian?
Yes, it is.
Does that letter express the feelings and concerns that your brother had at that time with regard to his continued deterioration and his desires regarding how he wanted his life to continue and his suffering to end?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move for admission of plaintiff's or defendant's exhibit H, which was supplied to me by the prosecuting attorney.
Can I just see that?
Sure, I'll get it.
I mean, if you're the prosecutor in this case and you're sitting there listening to this testimony, I always wondered about that with it's like one of the reasons I could never, ever be a prosecutor. There's just things that I think are fundamentally incorrect in terms of like them deciding to prosecute this case, because somebody made the decision, okay, we're going to prosecute on these things, knowing damn well that this is exactly what the trial was going to be, because, and there's two aspects to this when you think about, because basically what you need in this case is jury nullification, which is, and you can't argue it. And jury nullification is where you're basically telling the jury without telling them, don't follow the law, that the law is incorrect. You know what I'm saying? Because like theoretically, this prosecutor could be like, for all of this testimony, can be saying irrelevant. It doesn't matter what the motivation as to why it was done, why that happened, why this decision was made. It wasn't within his rights to make that decision pursuant to what the law is. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's such an interesting trial,
Yeah,
because
this one's super interesting.
Yeah, it's just like, I wonder if that prosecutor's like sitting there listening to this testimony, like, man, like, I can't believe I'm like having to try to put this dude in prison.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like, I'm like, this guy clearly was doing something at the behest of, this gentleman whose life quality was over, who was trying to peacefully bow out, without. It's like that testimony with like, he wasn't in a position. It's kind of like, I would never be able to put a gun in my mouth and blow my head off. I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
Just I'm too big of a wimp, so, in that situation, like, what do you do?
Yeah, at least he had at this situation an option like Dr. Kevorkian, write this guy, say, hey, man.
Right.
Because otherwise I can't do this. Like,
right. Says his goodbyes peacefully, like stops the pain. Like, and it's not just like the physical pain; it's like all of it.
Yeah,
you know?
dude.
It's like at some point, you know, when you know that you're going to be you know, that you're dying and it's imminent. You know, like how do you process that?
That terror, that daily mental terror would be so fucking
Right. Like, I
debilitating.
mean, I think at some point, you know, it's like that, you know, the stages of death, you know, denial, and, you know, when you finally get to acceptance, and, you know, when you kind of resolve yourself to the fact that it's inevitable and it's coming, you know, and you're at peace with the concept itself. You know, it's like, man, it's like the older you get, like you're younger than me, but it's like I've started thinking about mortality like way more. You know, you're bulletproof when you're in your 20s.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like it's not even a concept in your head. It's like, oh, I'll never die. And then the older you get, you know, you're measuring everything against like, holy shit. Like I'm like 6 years away from being 60.
Yeah.
And like I'm like end gaming, you know, or I'm like getting close to like, it's crazy. Life's just weird like that.
It is weird, dude. Yeah. it can be dark, but it can be a hell of a lot darker for somebody in this situation, right? Where it's coming rapidly. And it's the fucking dude, it's the mental terror is what would just be so horrible. Like every day
100%.
And you can't communicate it. You're just laying there in this body. You're a prisoner inside of fucking human flesh.
Yep.
That's horrible. Like that is the worst nightmare imaginable. This disease has freaked me out so bad, Bob. Like
terrible, man.
Like, bro, this was rough.
Any worse than
Chris had a good question there, or a good. I had that up there. Let me find it again. Yeah, Bob, could this case have been a political move by a state attorney? That's probably what was going on, honestly.
100%, Chris.
And I bet the news running this story during that time frame was just fucking completely on the state side, right? And then, how could you show this interview with this brother on the news, any clip of it, and then be like, well, yeah, this is wrong.
Yeah, well, when the media hangs the moniker Dr. Death on somebody,
yeah,
I mean, come on. I mean, it tells you all you need to know about in terms of what the media's mentality was with respect to it. So yeah, no, Chris, I 100% political. You know, it'd be interesting to dig in and find out like who, because this is like, is this like outer Detroit area? Like, because this is up in Michigan, right?
Yeah, it's in Michigan. How close is it to Detroit? I wonder.
I think it's like Metro Detroit type area, you know, which is a very liberal area. At least Detroit is. I think it's much like Illinois. Like Chicago's kind of like the liberal beacon in a very red state. Otherwise, you know, like Southern Illinois, you might as well be in the deep South. You know, it's like
30 minutes from Detroit. Yeah, it was in Oakland County.
Yeah, so
right there.
You know, it would be interesting to look and see who was in local office there, you know, to see what side of, you know, the aisle they were on, because I'm sure that was the impetus to like whoever's making the decisions. All right, we're going to prosecute these cases, because that's 100% within the purview of the prosecutors, you know, in that office in terms of what they're going to decide to move forward on. And they're not going into it blind. They know that it's a big societal issue, you know. I mean, and so it's like you've got to go in and kind of weigh the pros and cons, you know, because it creates that bright line. Like if Kevorkian would have gotten convicted on this, it changes shit, you know. I mean, it's a whole different thing. I can't even remember if he got convicted or not. So I'm anxious to see. Like,
okay,
yeah, like. I know we're ways from it, but
fine, Your Honor.
That's defense H. Is it H?
Yes.
That's submitted. Please go ahead.
Mr. Hyde, would you please read that to the court and jury?
Dr. Kevorkian, may I open this letter by apologizing. By applauding you and the outstanding work you have been doing. Even with the threat of severe reprisal, I truly wish the fanatically right-wingers and downright loony lefters would take the blinders off and get off your back. I'm a 30-year-old male diagnosed with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. I am at the extreme low end of the age age range for this disease, which in progressing at an alarming rate, according to the I can't. It's typed over here.
Okay, go on.
Diagnosis was 8/2/92, and they were still non-committal due to the ambiguity of motor neuron disease. Personal history: I'm the oldest of 4 children, mother alive and reasonable health, father deceased, auto accident. I have a 12-year-old son by my first marriage and a 14-month-old daughter with my present wife, Hyde. My wife has reached, or nearly so, her emotional, physical, and financial limits with working full-time, being my caretaker, and dealing with a toddler. Present condition: I am no longer ambulatory. Speech is all but unintelligible. Respiratory muscles weakening dramatically. Eating and swallowing difficult, and aspiration is imminent. Will not be catheterized or diapered. And if the progression continues at this rate, this will soon be necessary. The degradation has gone far enough. There is no quality to my life. I frighten my daughter. I see fear and pity in my son's eyes. They don't need to be exposed to that, especially my boy. He will remember. I have made my peace, and I just wish to die with a little dignity I have left, as little mess as possible. I sincerely wish to do this, and Heidi wishes to be involved as much as possible. We both agree this must be done right. We lack the knowledge, access to equipment, and pharmaceuticals, and mutilation is not a consideration. Can you please help me with this? At least counsel me in this matter. Time has now become an issue. I greatly appreciate all consideration in this matter. Cordially, Thomas W. Hyde.
Thank you. After he wrote that, did you stay in Florida?
Yes, I did.
Did he come back to Michigan?
Yes.
Did you stay in contact with your brother after you left him at the end of June of 1993?
I had spoken with Heidi, and I tried speaking. I didn't speak. We didn't converse back and forth, but I told him I would talk to him, and I would yes or no questions.
The expressions of his feelings and desires and wishes to control his life and his destiny, is that fairly accurate of what he was also expressing to you at that time?
Yes.
What's the next thing that happened with Tom that you learned about?
As far as
did he ever get a hold of Dr. Kevorkian?
Yes, approximately.
Well, I'm going to object at this point, Your Honor, unless it's personal knowledge. This is hearsay now.
Well, I'm not asking for any hearsay conversation. Did you gain personal knowledge that that he got a hold of Dr. Kevorkian?
Yes, I did.
Well, once again, Judge, it's the same objection.
The question becomes its ability of competency to testify that to that, Mr. Feiger. That's what I'm hearing here. Without him being told that in some kind of way, unless he was present when it happened, I think that objection would be sustainable.
Did Tom, in your presence, when's the last time that you saw Tom alive?
At the airport.
And when was that approximately? If this letter was dated 6/22, I believe, 93.
It was, I'm not real positive. It wasn't long after the letter was sent.
The tape, which has been exhibited to the court and jury in this Defendant's Exhibit A, was taken on July the 1st, 1993. Have you seen that tape?
Yes, I did.
Is that the way Tom looked at approximately the time you left him in Florida a few days before?
Yes.
Did Tom ever waver in his communications with you about his desire to control his own destiny?
I had known from talking to him previously and knowing the state that he was in, yes.
Did Tom want to die at that point?
He didn't want to suffer anymore. He was tired of it.
What's the next thing you learned about Tom?
Well, once again, Your Honor, I think this calls for
He
hearsay.
didn't say how. He said, "What is the next thing you learn?" And maybe however you learn it, I think it's not important.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
please.
I'm not trying to
Yeah,
ask
all right.
that.
Go ahead, please.
Did you learn anything else about Tom after that?
I learned that he had been in contact and had had a meeting with Dr. Kevorkian. And I'd spoken with Hyde. And
To your knowledge, did the rest of your family have knowledge of Tom's desires?
yes,
Is there anybody who disapproved with Tom's desire to control his own destiny?
no,
Was there anybody in your family, including Heidi, who was attempting to coerce Tom or talk him into doing something other than what he wanted to do?
no, not at all.
Did you have an occasion to talk to your brother prior to the time in which he passed away?
I had, I had talked to him, like I said, he couldn't, it was hard for him to communicate back.
Okay.
And I just told him that I loved him.
When did you learn Tom had finally been relieved out of his suffering?
Wednesday morning of August, the same morning.
How did you learn?
I saw it on CNN.
What were your feelings at that time?
I want to say relieved, but I was glad he was done. I mean, that he wasn't hurting anymore. It hurt that he was gone, but that's what he wanted. He died peacefully.
Did you, on behalf of your family, at any time contact the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office and ask them to take action against Dr. Kevorkian?
No.
Your Honor,
Relevancy of that, Mr. Feiger.
Who's the victim? I'm trying to ask. I think that we're entitled
I
to know
sustain
who's a
the
victim.
objection.
Boom. It's exactly what I was saying. Where's the victim here?
Yeah, dude.
No, it's such an unusual case because technically under the law, it's murder, right? Or some form of murder.
Yeah.
But it's victimless. Like, it's truly victimless. You can't, the fundamental question in this case is, do we have the right to do what we want with our own bodies without interference, man? And it's like, that is exactly what I was saying, I love Feiger because this is such a beautiful example of exactly what I'm always saying about defense attorneys. We are the ones that are fighting for our rights under the Constitution. Like the government and the cops are the government. And remember, the Constitution was written to tell the government you can't do X, Y, and Z with respect to our rights. So this case is it was such an important case. It's really like when you were talking about what to do. That's why I was like, dude, you gotta and you threw this one out there as a possibility. I'm like, oh man, this is the one. And Amber Law Nerd said it. She's like, it's a tough case to do. It's in terms of deciding to do it, and you got to have the right community to do it. You got to have people that are willing to listen and learn. In terms of because the debate can be heated on this thing. You know what I'm saying? And our community is the one. So it's she had posted something, she had tweeted something, and she kind of nailed it. So yeah, it's an important case, man, and it's fascinating, really.
It is. Yeah, I'm glad that we're into this one. It's super interesting, dude.
All right.
We're approaching the end of this clip, and we'll go into the next one here in just a moment, guys.
This
this one was rough, just because being his brother.
Have you ever, in any way, shape, or form, offered to cooperate with the prosecutor's office?
By no means.
Why?
I don't feel that Dr. Kevorkian should be prosecuted. He helped my brother.
Yeah, man.
And I believe in what he's doing. I believe very strongly in what he's doing.
To your knowledge, did your brother?
Yes.
Assuming that your brother ended his suffering by inhaling carbon monoxide on August 4th, 1993, is there any doubt in your mind that's the way he wanted to end his suffering?
No.
Had anybody, to your knowledge, other than attempting to obtain drugs which would allow him to take an overdose, offered him any hope or relief of suffering? including medical doctors?
No.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Mr. Kenny?
No questions.
No questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I have another witness, but it will take some time, Your Honor.
Okay, more than half an hour or so?
Yes.
Okay, well, this is a good time to stop for today, I guess.
Thank
Okay. Member of the jury, we'll stop here for today, and we'll resume this tomorrow morning again at 9 o'clock. I'm asking you to report in to
this is Jack Kevorkian's assistant, Neil Nickel, takes the stand. That'll be interesting. We're going to start into this one. I'm going to hit y'all with a little stinger just real quick. I like to hit the Murder Church stinger. And thanks everyone for being here. I appreciate the hell out of it. If you're hanging and banging today and you have not hit that like, please do so. Please share this out. Let people know on Twitter, on Facebook that you're hanging out with me and Bob today. Yeah, we're going to go into the next part here. I am going to run real quick, Bob. Use the bathroom. I'll be right back, sir.
Godspeed.
Would you please state your name for the court and jury, please?
Neil Nickel.
And where do you reside, sir?
I reside in Waterford.
And do you practice presently a profession, sir?
I own my own company.
And what do you do?
I sell hospital laboratory supplies.
How long have you been acquainted with Dr. Jack Kevorkian?
Over 30 years.
How did you first meet?
We met at Pontiac General Hospital back in 62, 63. I was working there as a blood bank technician, and Dr. Kevorkian was one of the pathologists on staff.
Can you tell us a little bit about your acquaintance there while he was a pathologist? What type of person was he?
Well, he was a very innovative pathologist, and he had an idea that we pursued with reference to cadaver blood transfusion.
Well, when you say innovative pathologist, is pathology a medical practice?
Absolutely.
Are pathologists doctors?
Absolutely.
To your knowledge. Do pathologists go to medical school?
Absolutely.
Do they graduate from medical school?
Yes, they do.
After medical school, do they go on and do internships and residencies like other specialties, say like neurologist Dr. Klawans yesterday?
Yes, they do.
And after they finish their residencies, do they go in and practice that specialty?
Yes.
To your knowledge and your work in the hospital and with Dr. Kevorkian, how do pathologists interface with other specialists in terms of the treatment and diagnosis of disease?
Pathologists in the study of pathology look for malignancies, and when a person goes in for a biopsy or a tumor removal, it's oftentimes the pathologist's responsibility to diagnose it as malignant or benign.
Do pathologists therefore participate in the diagnosis and treatment of patients at hospitals?
Absolutely. Plus, they are overseers of the other medical practices to make sure that they don't take out healthy appendixes and tonsils, things like that.
What do you mean overseers of the other practices to make sure they don't take out healthy organs? What do you mean?
Well, in an effort to curb abuse, the pathologist will take a look at tissues that are removed from people and diagnose them as being, whether or not it was necessary to take that tissue out.
In your 30-year experience, could you describe your relationship with Dr. Kevorkian as a friendship?
Well, with the research work that we did on cadaver blood, we became friends. And shortly thereafter, I left the hospital going to sales. And Dr. Kevorkian left Pontiac General and went to Saratoga, and I called on him there as a salesman.
In your experience with him at Saratoga, did you find him to be somehow obsessed with death or morbidly obsessed with death?
The nature of these questions.
Do you have a response to that, Mr. Hyde?
Well, I don't really think they're leading.
If you have a question, more or less suggest an answer, I think that's leading.
Okay.
Proceed.
Did you find him in any way peculiarly attuned to any particular area of medical practice?
No. He was just an extremely bright individual.
What was
So, after we did the openings, was the state, because we're definitely in the defense's case in chief here, was the state's case in chief super short?
Like the opening for the state?
No. Like so you have openings and then the state has to put their case on, because that's always the order it goes in, the openings, and then the state puts on what they call their case in chief, all their witnesses.
Yeah.
And the defense did so.
That's a good question. I don't know if it's switched over. That's a good question.
I mean, we're definitely in the defenses. Like, I mean, have you been going in order of the witnesses?
Yeah, we've been going in order so far.
So right. I mean, the state's case in chief was probably just really short, man. It's like they had the cop here. So openings, Inspector James Arthurs.
This guy was
Vader Cason,
chief medical examiner.
Yeah. So all right. So you got your proof of life, proof of death, and you got the cop. And then
this one right here, this one ended up showing an actual interview with him. The jury sees the defendant's taped conversation with Thomas Hyde.
Mm-hmm.
That one was super sad. And then we went into another officer.
Yeah. So they had a really short case in chief. See, it's interesting. I mean, because from the state's perspective, they just have to prove that he assisted in allowing this guy to kill himself.
Technically, right? Like that's the whole. Yeah, that's the argument where I guess they're trying to convince this jury that technically he helped this man die, which is murder, right? So
exactly, that's it.
It's fucked up.
It's a very. So they were done in how many witnesses does
this continues? This goes. We're right here on 10, and this goes through.
Oh yeah, the defense really puts on a case here.
Yeah, we still got a couple of weeks in us for sure.
Cool.
Hell yeah.
Joey did some research work at Saratoga on the mercury poisoning in the Great Lakes on tissues, where he had determined by his research that.
Oh shit! Well, I got that pause just real quick. Say no to globalism. $4.99. Cheers to our beautiful community. Sending love. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Yep. Love it. Thank you so much. I love her, and I always give her a little special one.
This is gun country.
This is gun country. Thank you so much.
It was all kind of a big hoax that mercury's been in tissues since the early 1900s, and probably is there in a smaller portion today than it was then.
How did you become aware of that research?
Well, when I was calling on him, we had a friendship, and we would sit down and talk about what he was doing.
You indicated you also participated in work with him with regard to cadaver blood. What was the purpose of that research project?
The purpose of the research, it was during the Vietnam era, and the purpose of the research was to facilitate the transfusion of fresh whole blood on the battlefield. We ascertained that here was a situation where you had dead men and you had injured men, and you could take the blood from the dead men and infuse it into the injured men and increase their chances of survival.
Well, wasn't that being done already?
It had only been done in Russia. It had not been done in the United States.
Well, then on the battlefield, in your experience, what was being done with men who were wounded and needed blood, and there was no blood there?
I don't object to the form of the question. There's no foundation that he has any knowledge of what was being done out on any battlefield.
We need at least a foundation.
Sure.
To indicate his competency to testify to that.
In terms of your...
This guy's a total hard-on.
Yeah.
I don't know anything. How this guy wasn't in a war?
He reminds me of somebody, and I don't know who. Like, I don't know. There's like an actor he just looks just like, and I don't know who it is.
I know who you're talking about, man.
But something.
Just exactly who you're talking about. It'll come to me.
I mean, yeah, dude. I've been working on it for weeks now, and it's like, it's weird.
I know exactly who you're talking about. Like, it's right there.
I'm going to do this for Bobby, and I see some other people also wanting some bells. Let's give them some extra bells this morning. Why not? The church bells are ringing in the pews. Sometimes I sing out here, Bob.
I love this. I think you should.
Love it. Love it.
I want to hear some hymns. Let's go. I'm not kidding.
Welcome to Murder Church. Oh, yeah. Murder Church. Murder Church.
Lord
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen.
Your research project with regard
Y'all didn't know I was a real pastor.
Love it.
to the stimulation or the reason why you did it. What was your knowledge of the availability of blood on the battlefield to injured soldiers?
There was no whole blood that was available on the battlefield. It was available at an aid station in the rear.
It's like a bit actor. Pat Sajak is pretty fucking close.
That is pretty close. I'm pulling that over.
Yeah,
that is
pull
pretty
that
close.
motherfucker up.
Yeah, that is pretty close. I don't know if that's who I'm thinking about, though.
But, like, go younger Sajak. Like, you got old Sajak.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's go 1990 Sajak.
There you go. Oh, look at that. Now pull up, like, the one with the Vanna right there. That one, I mean, like, part his shit in the middle.
Yeah, dude.
Like, facially.
I don't know if I can...
They were.
It's hard to get it. Hold on. It's hard to get it to...
Oh, Jesus, Steve. What are you
Trying
doing?
to get him to... that son of a bitch. I don't think I'm going to do it, but you can see the man.
You're like me right now.
I really am.
Why do I make a picture
This
on
ain't
the
working
screen?
correctly. I'm going to say it again.
what?
Dude, if it wasn't for Dan, I would not be functioning on the internet right now. So...
I'm not seeing Martin Short on the. I mean, I know who Martin Short is on that Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, I saw Charlotte say that.
Yeah. Nah, I definitely see a little Sajak.
Sajak's the closest.
But I think there's a different actor, like a bit like a character guy, like character role guy.
Dude, that's exactly who I'm talking about. The person I'm talking about is like a character.
Right. Yeah, he just has bit roles, like character roles.
Dude. I don't know what to Google. It's fucking with me.
I know. Fucking.
I'm going to start
with regard to the stimulation or the reason why you did it. What was your knowledge of the availability of blood on the battlefield to injured soldiers?
There was no whole blood that was available on the battlefield. It was available at an aid station in the rear. They were using a plasma expander to keep the blood pressure up on the battlefield.
In terms of your research, did you verify that in terms of the reason for your research?
We verified the fact that the whole blood. Or did I verify that they were using plasma expanders?
Yeah, and that the whole blood wasn't available, just as you testified.
From my experience as a medical corpsman, I knew that.
Okay. Why wasn't it being used on the battlefield? It would seem just simple logic what you were proposing or what you were experimenting or researching.
Whole blood is very sensitive to temperature, and it has an expiration date. So you had to have fresh materials. At that time, you couldn't store whole blood for more than 21 days. So it had to be moved in fresh. You had to draw donors at battle sites, aid stations, and rear hospitals. So it was bulky. It was labile. It had a tendency to break down. The red cells have a tendency to break down, so it had to be stored under refrigeration, had to be stored for 21 days, and after 21 days, it had to be disposed of.
Was there any reason why the military hadn't, in the United States, in the Vietnam War, or any war up to that time, wasn't using the blood of people who had been killed to save the people who were injured?
There's no logical reason for it. It was an emotional stance that we had applied to the Secretary of Defense for a grant and an ability to go to Vietnam and research a transfusion tubing that we could use. And we just never got it.
Did you ever determine why there was an emotional response against this?
I think it's a thought of
Well, I'm going to object to any speculation.
I was abstaining if it's based on his own thoughts, please. Go ahead, please.
Is it based on your own thoughts or knowledge of why the hysteria? Did you have knowledge of why there was a hysterical reaction?
Well, I'm going to object to the form of that question, Judge.
What's his objection to the form of the...
He's pissed.
What a fucking pimp this guy is. Jesus Christ. What a hard-on.
Good Lord.
Oh, my God.
Be specific, please, Mr. Kennedy.
There has not been any testimony regarding any hysteria. Mr. Feiger is the one who has characterized that as what the testimony.
I thought he said
He's hysterical.
He is a little. What is happening? He's just freaking out. Objection!
What fucking objection?
He is freaking out. Look at him sitting there, dude. He's freaking. He can't even handle life right now.
Oh, he's about to slip into like Al Pacino and fucking, this whole courtroom's out of order. You're out of order. He's out of order. Relax, dude. Calm down.
Come in there and fight the judge. Morning, Elizabeth. Welcome in here.
Emotional. Perhaps I did use the word hysteria. I'll say emotional, Your Honor.
I think the objection, the initial objection, had to do with him merely giving his own personal opinion about that, rather than speaking from some degree of competency. And I was abstaining if he's just merely giving his opinion about it, please.
Okay, proceed.
Did you have knowledge of why there was an emotional response to that?
We did.
Prosecutor. Funny. It's like, yes.
Did some cadaver blood transfusions in the hospital to patients. And we substantiated that the cadaver blood was actually superior to the blood that was being stored in the blood bank. It had a higher red cell content. We could do a post on the dying patient to determine that they had never suffered any liver involvement. Their disease history was open to the pathologist, so that we knew that the blood that was, and at that time, back in the 60s, we didn't have a lot of the tests that are done today for hepatitis and HIV and some of the other things. So it was a superior product, and yet when we talk to patients about would you be willing, because you can't automatically infuse it, would you be willing to accept the blood from a cadaver? Most times it was an emotional response that they turned it down, or they said, yes, we'll do it.
Was there any ethical precepts involved in terms of your research that you were running contrary to? In terms of transplanting cadaver blood?
It's essentially transplanting an organ.
Okay. Did you finish your research?
Yes, we did.
Did you publish the research?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was published.
All right.
In fact, I think it was published in the New England Journal. I'm not real sure, but I think it was published in the New England Journal.
Okay. To your knowledge, did Dr. Kevorkian publish other articles other than this research project that you were involved with?
Oh, yes, he did. Okay. He did one prior to my meeting him on the moment of death, where he studied the eyes, and he did the one on the mercury that I'm aware of. He did the cadaver blood work.
Okay. Let's go forward now to 1990s. Did you begin working again with Dr. Kevorkian in terms of providing relief to suffering patients?
Yes, I did.
How did that come about, your reassociation with Dr. Kevorkian?
Well, I had read several things about him in the paper, and then, of course, we'd kept social contact, and I had talked to him, and he asked me if I could obtain some chemicals for him, and I said sure, and I got them, and we started discussing generation of carbon monoxide. And I asked him why he wanted them, and he said, well, I can't buy carbon monoxide gas anymore. And I said, well, it was a jerry-rig type of thing. It could have worked, but it was.
Hospice Jen's got a question, a $2 question. Well, Bob, what are your thoughts on this judge?
I mean, in terms of the rulings, they've been pretty basic. Like, so, the only way you can really get a flavor in terms of where a judge is at is from the objections and what's, sustained. And, I mean, he seems to, like, I don't know where, I think where we'll really find out is if, because I know Kevorkian was convicted a couple of times, and I think he was acquitted a few times. But, like, sentencing is where you find out what to think of this judge.
That's a good point.
If he is convicted and, the state's trying to hammer him and the judge has some discretion, but it gets tricky for the judges with respect to statutes, in terms of them saying, all right, well, like there's mandatory minimums a lot of times in cases. So, I mean, the judge seems pretty even-handed, but we're getting pretty basic objections, like foundational, relevance. So, like, I can't really get flavor of where this judge is at. You know, and the interesting thing about like a case like this, as we've been talking about, you know, like, is the judge a religious person? You know, and in a case like this where the judge is not the trier of fact, it's a jury, you know, but the judge is the one that is the gatekeeper of evidence that's getting in and what's going to stay out, what can be said, what can't be said, you know. So
that's such a good point.
That kind of thing like impacts this type, you know.
I didn't even think about that part. Wow.
So yet to be determined.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at on this judge.
P Fox following up with $10.
$10 holla.
Oh, let's go. You guys are amazing this morning. Holy shit. Too kind. Thank y'all so much. Murder Church is the best. I love some Murder Church, man. It's fun. We have some fun while watching some morbid stuff. We do it somehow. And again, I think it's a very important conversation to have ultimately. And I mean, I think we're the right people to have the conversation, Bob. Like,
100%.
It's good, man.
Much simpler to just buy the carbon monoxide.
Did he tell you, is carbon monoxide a controlled substance?
No, it's not.
Why couldn't he go out and buy carbon monoxide?
Because of the publicity that he had gotten with one of his previous cases.
I see. And in that regard, have you been subjected to search warrants and harassment by the police authorities for obtaining a legal substance for Dr. Kevorkian?
I've had my front door kicked in twice by search warrant looking for evidence that just was never there.
Well, did you ever deny, or have you ever tried to hide that you obtained gas?
No, in fact, I admitted
legally?
it to.
Let me finish my question. Legally, on the open market, like anyone else for Dr. Kevorkian?
No.
Well, did you ever tell the police or tell a prosecutor that you were trying to hide that?
No. In fact, I told Lieutenant Walsh in Clawson that I had obtained gas for Dr. Kevorkian, so the Oakland County authorities knew it anyway.
Okay. After they kick in your
got gas, Steve.
door, do they
got the gas?
Give you a new door?
No.
What do you have to do?
Well, I petitioned.
Is to relevancy, Judge.
Relevancy of whether his door got kicked in, not how he might get it replaced or whatever.
Well, I'll go on. I could tie it up later, but I'll go on. Did you have occasion to meet, have you been involved in counseling sessions with various patients, including Thomas Hyde? I did see you on exhibit number, Defendant's Exhibit A in the counseling tape of Thomas Hyde.
Yes, I was.
What is your involvement beyond obtaining CO for Dr. Kevorkian in terms of the counseling of patients?
Well, I think we act as a think tank for Dr. Kevorkian. He likes to bounce ideas off of us and take our areas of expertise and combine them with his own to make an intelligent decision.
In terms of your participation in the counseling sessions with Thomas Hyde and Heidi Fernandez, what was your participation there?
I went out on the consultation with Dr. Kevorkian and Margot Janis and met Mr. Hyde and Ms. Fernandez and was there during the entire counseling.
Okay. The court and jury and myself, of course, and Mr. Kenny heard you make various statements. What was your purpose in making those statements on the tape to Mr. Hyde regarding his right to decide and his right to change his mind and all those things?
Sometimes in a consultation, we don't have a set script that we go by. We talk to the patient just as we're talking to you here, and if something gets left out of the conversation by one person, someone else can jump in and say, and we want to also make sure that this is all covered. It's an effort to cover all bases with the patient.
Have you been involved in counseling sessions with people other than Thomas Hyde?
Yes, I have.
Have you been involved with counseling sessions with people other than the ones who have decided finally to end their suffering?
Absolutely.
Are there a number of patients who go through counseling sessions and are spurred on by you and Dr. Kevorkian to continue to live?
Absolutely.
What is the thrust of your counseling session? Does a patient come to you and you say, okay, we're going to help you die?
The leading nature of these questions, Judge.
You're practically putting words in his mouth.
Okay,
Mr. Feiger.
when a patient comes to you, I understand your angst, Mr. Kenny, and I'll try to amend my ways. When a patient comes to you...
That was funny.
Under his eye, Mr. Kenny. Yeah.
Sierra in here. Bob's good. Bob's hanging and banging this morning.
Oh, I'm looking at my phone because I'm trying to look at the chat, so I'm not sleeping. It's like my phone's here, so it looks.
He's
like
here. Yeah, we good.
If I was on my setup, I'd have a second screen, so I could, like Steve does. Like Steve's looking at the chat too. I like to see what y'all are saying because Steve uses this ninja thing, and I can't see a chat on here anywhere. Can I?
Yeah, I don't have it. I don't think that's an option on here.
Come on, dude.
Yeah.
Come on. So yeah. Whenever I'm on with Steve and I'm trying to check out the chat, it looks like I'm sleeping.
He's out.
No, I'm awake.
Mr. Nichols.
Thank you for asking.
Bright and early for us, guys. He's an hour ahead of me. Like,
Indeed.
Dude. Not before 8 in the morning. Are you kidding me?
I mean, we got some people on the other side of the pond, though. So.
That's true, dude. And the people that coming through this early from Cali freak me out, dude. That's fucking crazy. That's some 6 a.m. shit.
That is amazing.
Wow, and they come through too. Like
K-Bot rolled out of bed. What's up, Kalen?
Oh no, I saw that hanging in here also. Love it. We had the whole crew through, baby.
I love it, man.
Me too.
Early morning, getting right with the Lord.
Oh Lord.
I love it.
What is your thrust, Dr. Kevorkian, and your whole team? What do you do?
Our primary interest is to make sure that the patient has explored every option that science can offer them. If a pain clinic is in order, we refer them to a pain clinic. If we feel that psychiatric help would be in order, we refer them to a psychiatrist. We try to make sure that if we're aware of a procedure or...
Woo! Isn't that crazy?
That's amazing.
That's wild as hell. That's Monday.
Julia's my hero right now.
Jesus.
A treatment that's available, but their particular physician has not made it known to them for one reason or another. We want to make sure that they are that procedure or medication is made available.
Laud Nerd Amber's comment. It's funny. Her most recent.
She is. That's what I say, actually, dude. Yeah, man. I have the very beginning of this channel, which I still know him. I mean, I could have him on any time, and he's kind of into paranormal stuff. But I have a friend from Australia, and we'd have him on, dude. And it was awesome. We're like, you're coming from us from the future, dude. Like,
it's true. It's so true.
It's so wild.
Like, hey, do you get sports scores over there? I'd like to make some wagers.
Yeah, dude. We need to make some bets here.
To them.
Do you involve other family members?
Absolutely.
Why?
Absolutely. And one of the questions when we involve other family members is...
Yeah, and Kaylin got me officially ordained on some website.
Nice.
Like
I'm ordained
pastor.
too.
Are you?
I married my sister. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
As you can imagine, I crushed the nuptials. It was pretty good. I wrote out the whole thing, and so it was good. Well, congratulations, brother. We're now brother pastors.
Yes.
Woo!
Legit. I was like, all right.
Is it the Universal Church of Life or something? Like, I think that's what, like, Universal Life Church or something. It was pretty easy.
Yeah, I think it is pretty. Like, I guess anybody can just become.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Need to actually, like, I have a church here. Am I tax exempt here? Or what are we doing? You're a lawyer. You're my lawyer.
I'm in 501c3 it. Let's go. Let's get the
Lord, let's go.
Is there any monetary disputes? Is your estate in order? We involve the other people for their input. We want to make sure that they're supportive of the patient in their decision. It's It's just a more logical way to approach it. That's all.
Do you involve, I heard on the tape, reference to clergy or ministers. Do you do that as a regular course?
As a regular course, we always suggest, we ask their religion, and we always suggest that they get rid
I just saw this one.
Right. That's what I'm talking about.
Tasty! Religious counseling. It's up to the patient if they want to have religious counseling or if they choose not to have religious counseling, but we always bring it up.
Do you make any determinations with regard to whether the patient is being pressured at all to make these decisions? Or let me restate the question, to determine the voluntariness of the patient's request with regard to the ending of their suffering?
Well, that is a primary concern of ours, and we do ask that if all the family members are in agreement, not that would necessarily mean that the patient couldn't end his suffering. It just means that we want to know what the situation is with the family.
Thanks. Say no to globalism coming through back-to-back $5 dollars.
Back-to-back hollows.
Shit.
He's screaming now.
Good Lord. Thank you so much, Say No to Globalism. Love it, love it. She's amazing.
Just give until it hurts today. I'm just gonna say
For real. Wow. Unbelievable. You are amazing.
Glorious. The Lord will be blessing you today, my child.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Can the patient ever change his or her mind?
Absolutely. And most patients are told right up to the last minute that they can stop at any time.
Does anyone ever make a decision for a patient?
No, sir.
If a patient changes their mind, can they come back and ask for you for help again?
No, sir.
Why?
If they're undecisive, that's pretty much an indicativeness of that they're not really interested in ending their lives, that they, in fact, have an emotional problem rather than an emotional problem that needs dealing with prior to any medical.
Great question. You know, that's a great question. And that hits a real fundamental point here, you know, like, cause it's like this thing of establishing that these people this is completely and totally their decision. You know what I mean? That there's no vacillating. The Kevorkian's not saying, you know, I can give you he's not pushing it on
No, dude.
wall,
In
know?
any of the footage I've seen, which has been 2 videos now, he's trying to actually convince them not to do it. He's like, are you sure you don't want to wait another week? You sure you don't want to wait another month? Like, he don't want to do this, you know? He's making sure they want this. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
Kevorkian, does he testify?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. Yeah. Hold on. Let me scroll
I
down.
hope so. I hope he does.
He does.
Nice.
Yeah. Hold on.
I'm
I'll show you.
definitely going to be at church for that one.
Yeah, dude. That's a 2-parter, too.
Oh, somebody had a good question, Steve, in the chat. Next Sunday is Christmas Eve.
Yeah. Yeah, I probably will cancel it next. Keep an eye on, but yeah, I think I'm probably going to have to be doing some stuff. I'd imagine.
We're going to have to be running around, son.
Yeah, dude.
We'll do
Next
all the shopping,
weekend,
bro.
I've got to do something today.
I'm a habitual
on that end.
Christmas Eve shopper. I'm like
Dude.
one of 8 people in a mall.
Yeah, I'm going to be Amazoning it up.
On Christmas Eve.
I hate it, dude.
Got my
I hate
shit.
it. Well, Cassie likes to go and do that in public, and I hate it, and I've just been pushing it this time. And
Well, I up and fucked up and like missed the shipping dates on Amazon shit.
oh yeah,
You know. It's
yeah,
like
I'm not excited about it
I'm
at
never
all.
excited for it, you know, except for the kids. The kids.
Yeah, I like to see that stuff, and it's cool. I mean, it's cool to see the family and get to hang out, but just
it's
yeah.
work.
that
just
part
a
of it,
lot
I do not really like, dude.
A lot of work. Like,
It
there's-
is, like-
there's no bullshit.
But hell yeah, dude. Yeah, next week probably will be canceled though, guys. Keep an eye on stuff, but I'd imagine I'll have to be doing some real life stuff.
Indeed.
Of the patients you've counseled who haven't, who have gone on and died through the course of their disease after counseling with you, is there a phenomenon that you've recognized there?
Most times when you tell a patient that
Leaves her, so Sheila, and by the way, like Sheila's been a long time, like Sheila Duffy.
Yeah.
Is that the best way ever to spell Sheila?
Yeah. We had a conversation on here one night about that.
Yeah, dude. It's like like when I first saw it, I'm like, wow, is it like
And she's Irish.
totally Irish, but it's such a great way to spell Sheila. But her son, it's his 21st on the Christmas Eve. I was going to ask Sheila, are you doubling out? You stiffing him? Has he been getting stiffed his whole life, getting the double up gifts?
Yeah, you've got your Christmas presents.
Yeah,
Why do we need to...
Christmas/birthday gift? We wouldn't take
shit.
on one gift. I'm curious. It's like I've got my niece is a Christmas Eve baby too, you know. So and she's a little salty. She gets the double up. I don't blame her. It's a legit
I could see that.
beef.
Yeah, suck it a little bit.
Yeah, it's a legit beef. I could see being pissed off about that. I'm December 13th, and I think I got
pretty close.
I got some occasional double ups, but I call people out on that shit. I'm like, why are you being a cheap motherfucker? You know.
And actually, your birthday is the same birthday as my mom. That same day, I went and we had a birthday for my mom at Dan's.
Birthday twins.
Yeah, dude. And I got her some stuff, and I'm going to get her some more stuff, you know?
You know what I found out this year, Steve, is that I share birthdays with Taylor Swift.
Oh, whoa. That's a good one.
Swiftie?
I am a Swiftie.
I mean,
yeah, dude.
Swiftie.
That's awesome.
Hey,
hell yeah.
I like what she's all about for women, man.
She's cool, man. She really is good.
I'm not a fan.
I like her tunes too.
Just because it's not really my shit. I'm not like really a pop, but I love what she represents for women. I love that she's flexing women power, man. So
like if I'm
huge fan of that.
Like I'm not just putting it on to listen to, but if it comes on, it's not terrible. Like it's really not bad.
Right, exactly. Like I'm not like, oh, my ears bleed. You know,
it's weird.
I'm never gonna like seek it out, but you know,
that's where I'm at. Actually, I'm not like put the Swift on. Let's go.
Right. Like more, I imagine Steve listens to a fair amount of like metal.
Mostly rap, but yeah.
Oh my god!
I like doom metal, but
I've been listening to this like Black Thought, who's like, you know, he's one of the dudes from the Roots, right? Philly rap outfit.
Yeah.
Who I love. It's got like they got Questlove in there, and they got Black Thought, who are two brilliant dudes. Check out this cheat code. So if you know who the producer Danger Mouse is,
I do, yeah.
Like Hyde, like just he always puts out fucking phenomenal beats and like his shit, like he's just great. So Black Thought did a little look it up on Spotify. It's called Cheat Codes. I've been like came out 2022.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna look that up.
Oh, Julia Terranova. So Julia, I don't know if you know who I am. My dad was Gacy's lawyer, and my first season of my podcast is Gacy. And if you haven't listened, I highly recommend that you do.
It's insanity. Yeah, Julia. If you haven't, that's insane though. Yeah, that's even wilder if she didn't know that.
Oh, Kaylin talking shit.
Oh my God. What did Kaylin
so
say?
If you're ever stuck on a Gifted by Bob, buy the man new button down shirts. Kaylin's still talking shit about my
God.
The one shirt that I wore that one night. I got, dude, my shirt collection is off the hook. It is. Along with my boots. My boots are.
You got a boot collection?
Oh my God.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude, my boots are flaming.
Like, what are we talking about? Boots? Like cowboy boots?
Yeah. No. They're like, I'll show you someday, Steve.
Okay, all right.
Like you're in the inner.
I'm not a shoe guy.
Nah, dude. Like these boots they're fantastic.
Dude, I just pictured you in cowboy boots and got really excited. I was like, "Fuck, is Bob just rocking cowboy boots in the courtroom?"
These crush cowboy boots. Like you'll see them. Like these are the type of boots I wear out, and like no less than 15, 20 people are like, "Dude, I love your boots." Like,
gotcha.
They're that kind of boot. Like I'll show them to you, man.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I want to see these things.
Who've seen my boots? They know what's up.
Ashy Snow coming through here, $9.99.
$10.
Let's go, Ashy. Another one of them G's out here floating around. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Snow crushing.
Love you guys.
Julia, love that. Love you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
You're a candidate for a meticide. They experience an immediate relief. Because they've taken control over their lives. And we've had many family members tell us this. That
see, my dad, just real quick, like I grew up in West Virginia, and like no, they never, like my uncles or my dad or any men in my family, like they always wore tennis shoes. They never really wore boots. But if they were gonna say if Christmas is coming up, a holiday party, They were going out to a bar. That's when the cowboy boots would come
They
out.
put on their Sunday best.
Yeah, dude. Those things come out. The pointy tips, bro.
Yeah, that was their dress shoes, man.
Damn.
You know?
I don't know how people wore that stuff, though, dude. I have to be comfortable.
Well, you know, once you break some boots in, they're next level comfortable.
Okay.
When you first wear them, they're like torture devices. You know, like you get the fucking blisters. It's like when I broke my boots in, but like just boom, crushing blisters on the heel. You know, like the first night wearing them, it's like blister pops. It's rubbing on my heel.
Holy shit!
Oh my God, I think I'm dying. I power through. So you got to earn well broken in boots.
Okay, all right.
My father was so upset, and once he talked to you, Dr. Kevorkian and myself, that they get a feeling that they've regained control over their own destiny. And once that happens, a lot of times they're able to cope because they know they can go to the absolute end, and if the pain becomes too much or the suffering becomes too much, they have an out.
When you say absolute end, what do you mean? Do you take the patient?
Picture of my crime com boots that I wore. Come on, dude. Those things were fucking flaming. Those are like, I was sporting my they're like baby blue and they've got dragonflies. You know, with leather. They're beautiful. They're beautifully crafted boots.
I've got to see these booth collection. You got to send me a pic, bro.
All right, yeah. Next merch or
I want to see this stuff.
I want to put some on. Oh, Brooklyn lives across from MCA's park, Adam Yauch's park. If Brooklyn knows anything about me, the Beasties are.
Oh, dude, yeah, Beastie Boys fucking rule. Yeah,
they're my boys, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, I seen the Beastie Boys in 2009 at Bonnaroo.
I saw them because I'm old. I saw them on the License to Ill tour. Like,
oh man, fuck, that'd have been dope seeing them in the real day, like
87, 88.
Yeah, bro. That'd have been cool.
Aragon Ballroom, like me and my boys all ditched school to get in line at the Aragon Ballroom.
Man,
like we were all like 17, 18. Like it was a snowy day. I want to say it was like late November, early December. So we were all like, we didn't know if there was going to be a line out there. So there was like 6 of us crammed into my car, and we found like a little ghetto liquor store, and we all bought like 3 bottles of Brass Monkey.
Yeah,
the real thing. We're all sitting there trying to get hammered. It was a great day,
dude. Bro, that sounds so cool. That was like basically 20 years of my life.
Yeah, dude.
Every day, bro. Every weekend, man. Yeah, find a good show.
Well,
gotta get hammered before you go in. You got to get a good buzz. You don't want to spend all your money in the bar.
Of course,
bro.
Gotta get that buzz. Man.
Yeah, dude.
Before you go in, no
that'd have been so dope though. Seeing them then, man.
Yes.
To the absolute end.
Yes, we do.
What does that mean?
It means when the patient can no longer tolerate his suffering or his condition, and he has nothing left to live for.
Who makes that decision?
Patient does.
But what if a patient simply says, I'm having a bad day, I got a headache today?
I don't think we'd be interested in doing a patient that said he had a bad day.
Thomas Hyde, was he having a bad day?
Thomas Hyde was having a bad life.
What did you observe when you went to see Thomas Hyde?
Could we have a date and a time frame, please?
Sure. When did you first meet Thomas Hyde, if you recall?
It was in the month of July when we taped the videotape.
Okay. Was the taping the first time you'd had an opportunity to meet Mr. Hyde?
Yes, although Dr. Kevorkian and I had discussed the case and I'd seen the records, medical records. And
what did you observe with regard to Thomas Hyde?
I observed a tragic situation of a 29-year-old man who was suffering. So tragic in that if you're 80 or if you're 90, you've lived your life and you expect to die. But when you're 29 and you're in the prime of your life and you're struck down. It was a terrible situation.
Does the tape adequately portray the type of suffering he was undergoing? It's often been said a picture's worth.
Yo, Scout, what's up?
She just wow, this kid just rolled out of bed.
Uh-oh.
Nice little 10,
No, I woke
10,
up an
20
hour ago.
Oh, you did? You've been chilling.
Living that good life.
I mean, you know.
That's awesome. Is she out of school?
Sunday.
It's Sunday.
And
Oh
she's
yeah.
on-
Well, she's not. That's true. Well, yeah. On
Christmas
December
break,
17th, they
though.
got to be on the Christmas vacation, though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, we
some
have
kids
to-
are on it already, but Scout, I think Wednesday, right? That's it.
Dad.
Holy shit, that's way too close to Christmas.
Yeah, dude.
Damn,
it's-
we used to get like half a month.
They still do, but like she doesn't go back till like January 9th.
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
I kind of like getting that. Like, I always
Get to the
hated
New
that.
Year's.
Yeah, you get that like nice little break. So yeah, I think they're getting like 17, 18 days total.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. That's awesome.
That's good. That's good.
1,000 words, but you've seen the tape. Does that adequately portray the type of suffering he was undergoing?
It's very emotional. The tape is very emotional. But what you don't see on the tape is that Thomas Hyde was losing his dignity very rapidly and had to rely upon his fiancée for every one of his needs every day. He had a child, a 2-year-old child, that he couldn't pick up, he couldn't hug. His son was afraid of him, according to Thomas Hyde's words, because of the change in his condition. Those things you can't show on tape.
How about putting him on the toilet? Did you think about showing that on a tape and exposing him to that indignity?
No.
Why?
We just wouldn't do that.
How would he get around? How did you observe him ambulate?
He had a motorized scooter, but when he ambulated within the apartment itself, it was very slow, very deliberate. You could tell that he did not have the function of his muscles.
Did he appear to be aware to you of what his fate was?
Absolutely.
How so?
He was an intelligent individual, and he wrote messages to us and answered our questions. We were aware of the fact that even though the man was debilitated in his body, that his mind was functioning.
Did he appear at all to you to have been coerced in any of his decision-making process?
In fact, actually, it was more the reverse, I think.
What do you mean?
He was coercing his fiancée to allow him to do this. She was against it.
Why would you help a patient in which a family member, close like a wife, did not agree?
Well, I don't mean to imply she didn't really agree. She would rather have had her husband to live. But the decision is always the patient's.
In this case, did Heidi Fernandez finally accept Tom's desire to end his suffering?
She wanted him to be free of his disease, yes.
How did that process come about?
Her accepting that?
Yes.
I assume that
Object to any assumption.
This is sort of getting beyond, reasonable, I think, responses here. Let's not assume or think. Let's just talk about what you're able to competent testify to.
Your Honor, I would be glad, I'm not trying to go beyond it, and I won't let the witness make assumptions. Did she indicate to you how she came to her decisions?
Well, I'm going to object to that. That's hearsay.
Did you come to understand how she finally accepted Tom's desires?
Objection, Judge.
Would he come to understand it? Lay a foundation.
I'm not offering it for the truth of the matter contained therein. Hearsay is
offering it for that or not. What else is being offered for, Mr.
State of mind, transaction, res gestae. I'm not offering it to prove that she
Justice
really accepted it, or what she said.
Objection. You may not ask that. Please proceed.
There are forms on the tape that Heidi reads to
It's just driving me nuts.
Tom, and in fact, there were other forms that you and Dr. Kevorkian have developed, and the patient goes over. Are you familiar with those?
Yes, I am.
What are the purpose of the form?
The purpose of the forms are to take the patient step by step through the process, and it helps us to make sure that we cover all bases with the patients. One is a consent that's signed that day and is also signed just prior. Another one lists the family members and addresses and phone numbers that we have to contact and things like that. These are forms that Dr. Kevorkian has developed over time in an effort to control monetize.
For instance, the form we saw Thomas being read by Hyde and then signing regarded a request to end his suffering. Why is that necessary?
Well, that's necessary to prove that the patient himself or herself is the one who's making that decision, and they understand what they're asking us to do, and they're understanding what it means.
What was your intent in did you finally agree to help Thomas Hyde end his suffering?
Yes, we did.
What was your intent?
To just do that, to free him, to end his suffering.
Did you want Thomas Hyde to die?
No, sir.
What did you want?
I wanted him to stop suffering. I wanted to allow him some control over his destiny.
Why did you think that it was your place at all to help another suffering human being?
Shaking babies and kissing hands.
Yes, we need Bob to run for some kind of office. You ever thought about that, Bob, for real?
Hell no.
No.
How many people digging in my shit?
That's true too, dude. That was freaking blow.
Like
that's actually the truth.
I'll have to have Kaylin out there as my, like, if I were to run, I would definitely have Kaylin as my she would run my entire,
like your social media chief.
No, she'd be my campaign manager.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
While we got it paused, I'm gonna just pop this up here for Scout. What's your favorite Christmas movie, Scout?
Oh, good question, Scouty.
Elf and A Christmas Story.
It would have been awesome if you said Elf and the
National Lampoon's Christmas.
just for the J effect.
Yeah.
But no, those are great. Those are good picks.
My dad, every year we watch A Christmas Story.
And
Elf. Dude, yeah, man. I've watched that about every year of my life, I'd say. Honestly.
Yeah, it's weird how people hate like there's people out there that hate A Christmas Story, which is just weird.
I grew up with that, dude. TBS marathons.
Oh, dude, 24 hours of it.
Yeah,
but
dude. No, that was
just so like
put it on and hang out.
Spot on. You know what I mean? It's like, because really at the heart of that movie is it's like a complete bitch slap to Christmas because it's become like just a commercialized nightmare. Like that is the whole theme of that.
Yeah.
Movie. You know, and people are like, "Oh, it's so sick." I'm like, "Nah, man. Like, you don't understand the concept of that movie. It's like all just like the whole thing where he's waiting for the little orphan Annie super decoder, and he gets it.
I want to ask Steve something about that.
Okay.
Steve, do you know what the note says?
The secret message.
Yeah,
do you remember he gets all excited when he's listening to the radio with the
he's
decoder?
In the bathroom and he's not letting anybody in.
And his brother's banging on the door, and he's feverishly trying to decode the message. Do you remember what it was?
I do remember that, but I don't remember what the code was or what the message was.
Dude, it's the heart of the movie. Don't forget. Do you remember?
Don't forget
Wow. Don't forget to drink.
It's like
Ovaltine. That's a bit.
Yeah. Oh, I do remember that. Yes.
He's like, son of a bitch. He's like, the commercial. Son of a bitch. It's like, dude, there's little nuggets in that movie. That movie's great.
That is perfect. Yeah.
And then Elf. I mean, you have to love Will Ferrell because Will Ferrell goes all in on every movie. Like I'm
a big Will Ferrell
all
fan.
In, dude.
Yeah.
Like he's all. I love Will Ferrell.
Yeah, man, he's the best
because he never holds back. Like he is so childlike.
Yes,
in that movie, man.
They couldn't have got a better person.
Oh, dude,
no way.
And Jon Favreau, who I happen to love,
he's awesome too.
Like, and I love it. He directed it. Like Favreau has shifted from kind of like the actor because Swingers,
Oh yeah, Swingers is a great movie.
Dude, we need to do a Kick Swingers because I know I owe you a movie.
I'm down for that.
Dude, let's do a night with Swingers on it.
Let's do that.
It's hilarious.
That'd be fucking rad.
Oh, dude, it's so good. Like I used so many taglines from that movie for years, man. Years.
Yeah, dude, we'll set that up. We'll set that up soon. That'll be dank.
What?
I love doing the movies on Kick, man. If anybody's not following on Kick, please follow Publicly Buzzed on Kick because right now we just started Twin Peaks, but we also do movies on there all the time.
Yeah. Like
we'd have a lot. Friday was really fun with Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Dad, how do we?
So you just ran that on Kick alone, right? Because I was trying to jump out.
Yeah.
I finally got a brand new phone.
Yeah.
So of course, I wasn't like I've got to figure out what my Kick login is because my new phone it didn't transfer over.
Dad, how do we?
All right, let's wrap. I got bear shit going on, like starting right now.
Okay, let's go. Well, Bob, if you need to rock and roll, you're good to go, brother. Because this still has about 40 minutes left on this.
Oh shit! Are you gonna play this whole guy out?
I probably will. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna bounce. I love you guys,
dude. I love you, brother. Dude, have a great Sunday, Scout. Thank you for popping on here.
Go Bears. Go Bears. Hey, y'all. Thank you for hanging with us. Thank you for the amazing chat. Thank you for supporting my boy Steve. Thanks for coming to the church. Always
Thank you, brother.
Always church on Sunday. All right, peace.
Later, guys.
All right, man.
All right. Yeah. Hell yeah. Bob, thank you so much for coming in here, brother. Appreciate the shit out of it. We're going to keep rocking and rolling. I will probably get on through this one, and then we'll probably wrap her up. But, man, thank you all so much for being here. Great Sunday, man. Y'all rule. Wrong one there. Oh, and wrong one again. Bam. Let's rock. Oh, wait. Need one by myself. Bam. There we go. And I got to take Bryce Rhodes off there. Hold on. Boom. We got her. Hold on now. Boom. Boom. Now we're instantly in a murder charge.
It's everybody's place to help another suffering human being.
Did the counseling session continue to go on after the tape?
Yes, it did.
How long did it continue?
Well, I think half hour or so, where we explained the procedures, exactly what would happen, what his controls would be. We wanted to make him as knowledgeable about it as we could.
Did you go over again the procedure?
Yes, we did.
What did you discuss with him in terms of the procedure?
We told him exactly what we would be using, what effects it would have on him, how he had control, how he could pull the clip off or not, how he could change his mind up until the very last moment, and the effects that carbon monoxide has on the human body.
Do you have knowledge of the effects of carbon monoxide in the human body?
I've worked with Dr. Kevorkian on, I think, 13 of the meticides. Yes, I have. Dr. Kevorkian is probably the most noted authority on carbon monoxide poisoning in the world as of this date, and I've worked with him on 13 of those.
What happens when a person ingests carbon monoxide? Can you describe their death?
I'm going to object, Your Honor. No foundation unless he's talking about personal knowledge and personal observations.
Maybe Mr. Kenny was out of the room when he just testified that he has knowledge, perhaps more knowledge than anybody in the world except Dr. Kevorkian.
Perfect time for this one. These boys about to fight.
He's been present at 13 occasions.
I don't think that's what he said, Mr.
I'm
Frank.
sorry.
I agree with that, with the wording of that. But anyway, the fact of the matter, I think there needs to be a foundation laid if he is going to give what amounts to expert testimony. I would ask for a foundation to be laid.
Beyond Dr. Kevorkian, to your knowledge, is there anyone in the world who has been present at more meticides in which a patient has died as a result of inhalation of carbon monoxide than you?
To the best of my knowledge, there isn't anybody else in the world that's ever been at a carbon monoxide medicine.
Is that because most people, if they end their life with carbon monoxide, do it alone?
I'm going to object once again, Your Honor. Leading questions on direct examination.
I agree, with Mr. Kenny and Mr. Frank on that.
Since no one is ever there, usually, Have there been any Mr. Kenny was worried about your knowledge or your expertise in this area. Have you ever...
Shit, here we go. Hope Ain't Fear, going to gift out a membership. Oh, and the sweet Bobby Hansen's going to get it. I love that. Bobby is awesome, man. Bobby is so supportive, always coming through here. And I'm glad she scooped one of those up, man. And Hope Ain't Fear, thank you so much. Seriously, that's awesome. I love you guys. You guys are so awesome, man. Hit you with a money one, too. Oh, wait, that was right. Not the right one. Hold on. All right, here I have 2 huskies laying on me and I have to pee. That's the worst, right? You're like, I've got to wake these babies up. I got to use the bathroom when they're all comfy. Thank you all so much for hanging and banging today. I appreciate it, guys. I may actually have to run and use the bathroom myself, actually. P. Fox.
Been familiar with anybody else besides you and Dr. Kevorkian who have any knowledge or expertise at the exact moment of death?
No.
What happens to a person who is dying of carbon monoxide in your experience?
Just from what he is able to see with his own eyes, I guess, and describe, what the person, does, I think that would be adequate. But in terms of any expertise as to what happened internally and all that,
I'm sorry. If Mr. Kenny thought that I was asking him to describe how the molecules attached to the red blood cells, I wasn't asking.
He can talk about his own personal observation of what he has seen.
Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, the neurologist yesterday covered that anyway. He's a far greater authority on carbon monoxide poisoning than I am, but...
Wait a minute. You just said that you were discussing this to the doctor. Now you're saying that the other person is the better authority?
He's a better authority as far as the action of carbon monoxide and hemoglobin.
Okay. Go ahead and just describe what you actually saw or observed. Okay.
Essentially what happens...
Okay. I'm not going to stand for any comments. What I do in this courtroom, I do according to the law, and I don't want any response from you, young lady, right here in front. You in the gum, you there. I don't want those kind of responses from you in the courtroom, okay? Please proceed.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I forgot where we were.
I was asking what happens.
Oh, what happens when a patient ingests the carbon monoxide. Essentially what happens is that as you lose the oxygen, you start to get sleepy and you doze off.
Is it as simple as that?
Pretty much.
Okay. Did you explain that to Thomas Hyde?
Yes, we did.
Did he appear to understand what you were saying?
Yes, he did.
Was there any hesitancy at all in terms of his decision-making process?
No.
How did you end the counseling session that day?
Well, we asked if they had any questions and told them that we felt that they would be a candidate and that we wanted him to go on and live his final days as well as he could, get outside, maybe, take a scooter to the woods, whatever, but enjoy his life, enjoy his child and his relationship with his fiancée. And that when he was ready, he could call us and we would come back.
And did he, to your knowledge?
Yes, he did. He didn't call me. I assume that he called Dr. Kevorkian.
Okay. Were plans made then to assist Thomas Hyde out of his suffering?
Yes, there were.
How were the plans made with you and Dr. Kevorkian?
Dr. Kevorkian and I decided that I would drive to Novi and pick up Thomas Hyde and deliver him to Royal Oak.
Was there any other person involved besides you and Dr. Kevorkian?
Well, his sister, Ms. Janice, was there with the baby and Heidi Fernandez.
Now, who was also, we see you on the camera and Dr. Kevorkian and Tom and Heidi. Who was taking the pictures?
Margot Janice.
And who is Margot Janice?
Margot Janice is Dr. Kevorkian's sister.
Okay, and is she in court today?
Yes, she is.
Okay, and who is she? Can you point her out?
She's the lady right behind Mr. Kenny there.
In the yellow checkerboard suit? And blue suit? Okay. What were the arrangements? I'm sorry, again.
The arrangements were that I would go pick up Thomas Hyde at Novi and deliver him to Royal Oak.
Okay. Why were you going to deliver him to Royal Oak?
I was to take him to Dr. Kevorkian's van.
Okay. And what was to happen then?
I assisted Thomas Hyde into the van and left. I parked where I could see the van, and then 20 minutes or so later than that, Dr. Kevorkian stepped out of the van. I got out of my car.
Wait, let's go back. What were the arrangements? Where was Tom to pass away?
In Oakland County.
Where?
In Royal Oak.
Okay. Where in Royal Oak?
Behind Dr. Kevorkian's apartment.
Okay. Did Tom die on Belle Isle?
No, he did not.
Where did he die?
I had this question also. Why isn't this guy charged? That was a good question. You think he'd be charged as an accomplice at least, right?
He died in Royal Oak.
Okay. Do you know the address that he died at, or the behind the address?
It's 220 something South Main.
Okay.
Where Dr. Kevorkian had lived.
Okay. What time approximately did you pick Tom up?
I was to pick Tom up at 6:30 in the morning, and I got there probably 5 minutes early.
Okay. And you took him where? To Dr. Kevorkian?
I took him to Royal Oak.
Okay. Did you assist him into the van?
Yes, I did.
Okay. What was the arrangement between you and Dr. Kevorkian then in terms of how you would be aware that Tom had ended his suffering?
Well, I couldn't be at the monetize, so like I said, I left, parked my car on the street where I could see the van.
Okay. Could you observe the van at all times?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And where was the van parked?
Directly behind Dr. Kevorkian's apartment in his parking spot.
And who was in the van?
Thomas Hyde and Jack Kevorkian.
Okay. On your ride from Tom's home to the van, did Tom understand everything that was being done?
When we went to get off of 696 and we stopped at the light, just prior to going down to Main Street, I looked over to Tom and I said, Tom, you realize that you still have an opportunity to not do this. And I said, are you sure that you want to go through with this? And he shook his head. And he said, he grunted something, but he did shake his head, yes.
Did he appear in any way to be reticent or unwilling?
No.
When you helped Tom into Dr. Kevorkian's van, who was there besides you and Dr. Kevorkian and Tom?
No one.
When you helped him into the van, where did you help him into?
Into the back.
How did you help him into the back?
I helped lift him up into the back.
Okay. And when he got in the back, what did he do? I mean, was there a chair in there?
I left. There was like a bed that we lifted him onto.
Okay. Why did you and Dr. Kevorkian and Tom decide that he was going to end his suffering in Royal Oak?
I'm not sure we made a conscious decision to end it in Royal Oak. We decided that we would drive from, Dr. Kevorkian and I decided we would drive from Royal Oak to Belle Isle after the meticide took place.
Okay. Was there a prearranged signal between you and Dr. Kevorkian while Dr. Kevorkian was helping Tom?
Dr. Kevorkian got out of the van when the procedure was over. And seeing him get out of the van, I went over to him and he said,
Objection to what was said, that's hearsay.
No, it's admission, Your Honor, and it's also a then existing emotional state, including intent, plan, motive, and it's clearly an admission.
It's not an admission by a party opponent, Your Honor.
Sure it is. Dr. Kevorkian's a
under, he's saying that Dr. Kevorkian said something, that the fact that he said it in and of itself doesn't make it admissible, but what is your basis for your objection, Mr. Kenny?
That it's hearsay, Your Honor, and it does not fall under any exception to the hearsay rule. The hearsay rule requires that if it is a statement by the defendant, it is admissible only if the other side seeks to admit it.
Is my understanding...
And I have some case law to that effect.
The prosecutor is...
Excuse me, Mr.
Okay,
Feiger.
please finish making your statement, please.
Your Honor, I have some case law to support the people's position on that, if the court wishes.
On the 801 D2, Mr. Feiger, do you have that handy?
Yep.
Okay. The statement is offered against a party and is his own statement in either its individual or a representative capacity, etc. this is not a statement that's being offered it's not being offered against the defendant. In other words, an admission by a party opponent, I guess, has certain guidelines. I'm asking you to tell me how it fits the guidelines.
Because it's not, I'm saying it's under 803, then existing mental, emotional, or physical condition, a statement of declarants, then existing state of mind, such as intent, plan, motive, design. And I'm saying that there was a plan between all the parties, which was carried out by Tom and Mr. Nickel and Dr. Kevorkian to end Tom's suffering in Royal Oak, and when that was over, to drive to Belle Isle. Now, that's clearly covered.
All right. Anything else, Ms. Kim?
No, other than, Your Honor, I think it clearly does not fit 803.
Okay, I'm going to allow it on 803.3. Please go ahead, please.
Go ahead. What did he say?
The question was, what did he say to me?
Yeah.
He said, Tom's suffering has ended.
What happened then?
I left, got in my car. Dr. Kevorkian started the van. I followed him over to Belle Isle, and as soon as he parked the van, I left.
Why did you go to Belle Isle, he and you?
The main reason, I think, was that we felt that Dr. Kevorkian could get a fairer hearing in Wayne County than he could in Oakland County.
Approximately what time did Tom pass away, if you know?
6:30, half hour down there. Probably 20 minutes, probably about 7:30, 7:20.
And approximately what time did you arrive in Belle Isle, if you know?
Whatever time it takes us to drive over there. I don't remember running into any traffic jams a half an hour later, maybe.
Did Thomas Hyde die in Belle Isle?
No.
Were you ever asked by any of the police in this criminal investigation of you and Dr. Kevorkian to tell them where Tom died?
No.
What happened after that, when you left?
After that, I left and went back to work.
Did you ever have any contact with Heidi Fernandez or Tom's family after that?
Yes.
What type of contact have you had?
I'm going to object on relevancy grounds, Your Honor.
Your response to that, Mr. Feiger?
That's fine, Your Honor. I have no further questions. Thank you.
He's got a damn fine head of 1994 hair, is what he has.
If I could have just a moment, please.
Yeah, sure.
Your Honor, I've been handed the People's Exhibit number 9. This is some of the documents, not all, but some of the documents Dr. Kevorkian developed and used in this case. I have no objection to the admission. I would simply ask since I know that they were obtained as a result of a door being kicked down in Royal Oak by the Oakland
Mr. Feiger,
County
hold on a minute,
prosecutors.
please, okay? I have warned you several times. Make an objection. I don't need a speech. I don't need the gratuitous remarks, okay? Please, just if you got an objection or you got a comment, let's be very pointed about it,
Well,
okay?
to my knowledge, they were obtained by this gentleman sitting here, back here in the court from the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office.
What's your objection? Be more direct.
I don't, I'm gonna
If you have no objection, then you still have no objection.
I'd like them all, though. I mean, there's more. And I think just for the sake of completeness, there's documents A through Z, and we only have documents A through D. I'm going to stipulate to the admission of these. I'd just like the rest of them and ask if the prosecutor from Wayne County can ask the prosecutor from Oakland County if he can get the rest.
Well,
because
I don't
he
know.
won't give them to me.
Hold on a minute, please. Okay, we'll discuss that off record. Go ahead with your cross-examination, please. Okay.
I don't object to exhibit number 9.
All right. Proceed.
Mr. Nickel, you sell hospital supplies,
Yes, sir.
right? How long have you been doing that?
Since 1964.
You're not a medical doctor.
No, sir.
Have you had any medical school training?
I have associated training in laboratory, but I don't have any, I'm not a physician.
You said that you worked Pontiac General Hospital in the blood bank.
Yes, sir.
For how long?
3 years.
What did you do there?
We would, routinely, we would type in...
Excuse me, not we. What did you do? What was your job?
Routinely, I would type and cross-match blood for patients. And then outside the routine, I worked with Dr. Kevorkian on the cadaver blood project.
What specialty or special training did you have in that area in terms of doing the cross-checking and typing of blood?
I was trained in the military, started out as a corpsman, lab tech, and was trained at Pontiac General Hospital in their procedures.
And with regards to your training in the Army, how much classroom experience and training did you have for that?
16 weeks corpsman, 8 weeks laboratory, a month on-the-job training, and 2.5 years experience.
And how much was your training at Pontiac General Hospital?
Probably the first month I was in there just to train me in their particular applications of the procedure.
You indicated that in terms of these counseling sessions, not only for Mr. Hyde, but for these others that you indicated, the 13 other meticides, as you refer to it, you do counseling sessions. Could you tell the jury, please, what type of psychological education and training you have had of a formal kind?
Objection. He didn't say he did the counseling sessions psychologically. He said they call in psychologists to do it.
You want to lay a foundation and ask the question, please?
Did you testify on direct examination that psychologists were called in for these counseling sessions?
I testified that if we felt that a patient had an emotional problem, we referred them to psychiatrists.
Okay. Now, in terms of what training did you have, sir, to determine when it was that someone had a psychological or an emotional problem that merited a referral to a psychiatrist?
I have no formal training in that area.
And in terms of this think tank that you referred to, and that think tank consisted of you and Dr. Kevorkian's sister, Margot Janis, is that correct?
And myself.
Okay. The three of you?
With the availability of other physicians, psychiatrists that we had, that we could discuss the case with.
And who did you discuss the Thomas Hyde case with?
Margot Janis and Jack Kevorkian.
Dr. Kevorkian was not, to your knowledge, board certified in neurology, was he?
No, sir.
You certainly have no training whatsoever in the area of neurology, do you?
No, sir.
And to the best of your knowledge, Margot Janis has no specialty and training in the field of neurology.
No, sir.
Had you had any special training or work with people who had Lou Gehrig's disease?
No, sir.
Let me show you what's been marked as People's Exhibit, or Proposed Exhibit number 9. I'd like you to take a look at that and tell me whether or not you can identify what I've just shown you.
They appear to be the pages that we had filled out at the consultation session with Thomas Hyde.
And that would have been in July of 1993, is that correct?
Yes.
Mr. Nickel, were you present at the time that the front page of this proposed exhibit was signed by Thomas Hyde, Ms. Hernandez, and Dr. Kevorkian?
Yes, I was.
You were present, were you not, at the time that this was read aloud to Mr. Hyde?
Yes, I was.
On this form, does it not contain a statement that says, "I will end my life by breathing through a routine facial mask or plastic tent, a lethal mixture of carbon monoxide in nitrogen gas"?
Yes.
So at the time that the procedure was being discussed, Thomas Hyde knew, Heidi Fernandez knew, you knew, and Dr. Kevorkian knew that Thomas Hyde, using this procedure, was going to die.
Yes.
In fact, the whole purpose of his using this carbon monoxide and breathing in this carbon monoxide was to die. Correct?
The whole purpose of him breathing in the carbon monoxide was to end his state of suffering.
And the state of suffering was going to come to a conclusion not by virtue of the carbon monoxide helping relieve his symptoms temporarily, but he would die, correct?
We'll all die, Mr. Kinney.
Your understanding was that by breathing the carbon monoxide that was going to be set up for Thomas Hyde was going to die, right?
His suffering was going to stop.
Can you answer my question, sir?
He did, Your Honor.
Did.
Hold on a minute, please. Okay.
There's more than one answer to your question. We're all going to die. This man is suffering horribly until he dies, and we should just let that happen? That's how this man has to die? No! That should not be the way it is. He's not answering it the way you want him to answering it. He's still answering the question properly, I think. He stopped his suffering.
Let me just make the objection, please, Mr.
I object. He's attempting to badger the witness. He answered the question, and he's looking for a different.
Your response to that, Mr. Kinney?
Your Honor, I don't think I'm badgering the witness. I think I'm trying to get a response to a direct question.
I understand that, but if he is responding and has responded, but
not answering the way you want him to answer. That's what the judge is saying right now.
in a way that you're not satisfied with, I guess you have to move on to something else.
Okay. Mr. Nickel, you signed the form here as a participant, correct?
I did.
And you signed it as being a technical assistant?
I did.
And what technical assistance did you provide on July 1st?
On July 1st, you mean at the consultation?
Yes.
The technical assistance that I had experienced prior to this with 13 metasides or 11, 12 metasides.
Well, with regards to your being there on July the 1st, what did you do, sir?
What did I do?
Yes.
I listened to Mr. Hyde. I listened to Mr. Hyde's story, his anguish, his problems, his medical problems, his emotional problems. And I offered insight to Dr. Kevorkian should there be something that he forgot to cover. I covered the procedure with Mr. Hyde.
You did not have any specific medical information or expertise that you were bringing to this particular interview, did you, sir?
Just the experience of my prior exposures to medicine.
Now, in the other ones that you've referred to, you were actually physically present. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were actually physically present to see these take place?
Yes, sir.
And to actually see the individuals breathe in the carbon monoxide and actually die, correct?
Actually under suffering.
And they did in fact die, correct?
And they didn't suffer anymore.
And, but this one, Thomas Hyde's, you didn't actually see it. Is
No,
that
sir.
correct?
No, sir.
Now, did you supply the tank that has been marked as People's Exhibit number 7?
Yes, sir.
And who did you receive it from?
I'm not sure where that particular tank came from. We have 4 sources for carbon monoxide and nitrogen. I could probably look at the tank and tell you which one of the suppliers it was.
And what are the 4 suppliers that you have, sir?
What's the relevance of that?
What's the relevance of that, Mr. Kennedy?
I'll move on, Judge.
Okay.
Let me show you what has been marked as People's Exhibit number 7. Can you take a look at that tank and tell us whether or not you can identify where it came from?
I believe that particular tank came from Scott Specialty Gases.
And can you tell us, please, when you received it from Scott Specialty Gases, did you receive it in that color, or was it painted after you received it?
The boxes were sealed when I received them, Mr. Kenny.
Are you telling us that at the time that you received it, the tank was this color, black?
I'm telling you, Mr. Kenny, the box was sealed when I received it.
You never opened it?
No, sir, I delivered all, 6 or so of them to Dr. Kevorkian, closed.
Do you remember when it was you delivered that to Dr. Kevorkian, the tank?
No, sir, I don't. But the Oakland County Sheriff's Office has all my records. I'm sure you could find it from there.
Now, I believe you indicated that an individual, when they use this system of carbon monoxide, uses the carbon monoxide.
You know what he fucking looks like? There's an old horror host. This motherfucker looks like an old horror host. Like old, like back in the day. Hold on. Yes, this guy named Zachary. Look at this. That's the office when I was looking on it. Look at this. Right? Is that not the same guy? Looks like Zachary, bro. Old horror host. What? That's what I've been thinking about this whole time.
People are always told that they have the opportunity to change their mind.
Absolutely.
You are, I take it, familiar with a circumstance where sometimes people may take an overdose of sleeping pills and then call 911 for help, or cut their wrists and then call the police or call EMS and ask to be taken to the hospital?
I have no
Correct.
personal experience of that.
You heard of that? Have you ever heard of that?
I've heard of it.
Okay. Now, in your procedures that you utilized, Was there ever sort of, shall we say, a fail-safe mechanism whereby if someone started to pull the string to start the flow of carbon monoxide gas, that if they changed their mind, say a minute or two into this procedure, that they would be able to stop?
All they have to do is say stop, take the mask off.
What about Thomas Hyde in his condition? He wouldn't have been able to remove the mask himself, could he?
I wasn't at the medicide of Thomas Hyde. I didn't see what happened. But he certainly could have made a gesture. He certainly could have tried to vocalize his desire.
Could you understand Thomas Hyde when he spoke? That day of August the 4th, 1993?
No.
Were his movements considerably restricted in terms of his ability to move his body and move his arms? Yes?
Yes, they were. But he could have made it apparent that if he wanted to quit, he could have made it apparent that he wanted to quit.
But with...
Your Honor, I object to the relevance. I mean, maybe this is a different case that he's trying, but I don't think any of the allegations by the prosecutor are charged that somehow Thomas Hyde wanted to stop and Dr. Kevorkian...
Guy looks like he hangs his skin up at night. Okay. That's the comment of the day.
...or anybody didn't let him. And that's what these questions are all going to. That's not a charge by the prosecutor.
Let me hear the response from Mr. Kenny, please.
He does have
Your
a
Honor,
crisper
the
glove and
defense
Bob.
has set forth
He does have a crisper glove and Bob. Well, I love crisper glove too. He's a great actor.
and testimony here through this
He's a
witness
wild
to the
crazy
effect that there were
guy,
these
I
strict
think, too.
procedures and guidelines that were followed. And they talked about any number of different patients. So I think questions regarding this particular procedure are relevant for cross-examination.
Any other comments you want to make, Mr. Feiger?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. There were some things on direct examination that touched on that would allow for some questions in that area on cross-examination. Please, you may proceed with that.
Okay, thank you. You indicated that you went in your vehicle to the Novi residence of Heidi Fernandez and Thomas Hyde on August 4th. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And when you went there by yourself in your vehicle, or did somebody go with you?
I went there by myself.
You indicated you got there probably around 6:25.
A little before 6:30.
And would it be fair to say that this was, it took several minutes went by before Thomas Hyde was actually in the vehicle and you were on your way?
It took probably 3 minutes. He knew we were coming. It had been set up. I got there. He was ready. We went out to my vehicle.
Was there any kind of emotional goodbye or some time that passed as Heidi Fernandez and Thomas Hyde were having their last goodbye?
There was a short cry at the car. Tom was resolute.
Now you say that then you then went to Dr. Kevorkian's place in Royal Oak.
Yes, sir.
And that you are certain that this took place in Royal Oak behind his apartment building.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
He's trying so hard to make this guy feel like shit or make him seem like a bad guy for this jury, but he's fucking not, bro. Like, it's such a horrible situation already.
Were you and Dr. Kevorkian?
Not at the Medicide, no. The only one present there was Thomas Hyde and Dr. Kevorkian. I was in another vehicle parked about maybe 100 yards away.
And at the time that you were there, you waited until Dr. Kevorkian came out of the van, and then you drove down in your vehicle following Dr. Kevorkian to Belle Isle. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And what was your purpose in going to Belle Isle?
My purpose was just to be a secondary in case something happened to the van. He had a breakdown. to make sure that he got to Belle Isle all right.
And where on Belle Isle were you going to go?
He was going to park the van, and I was just going to make sure that he got there, and I was going to leave.
Well, where on the island were you going to go for him to park the van?
That was up to Dr. Kevorkian. I just followed him.
Was it your understanding that you were going to Belle Isle to report this to the police?
I was my understanding that we were going to Belle Isle so that it could be tried in Wayne County.
All right, well, what was your understanding as to what was to be accomplished once you got to Belle Isle?
My whole role in Belle Isle was just to make sure he got there and leave.
And where did you go once you got to Belle Isle?
We drove, I'm not sure of the street names. I know we got on the one-way street that was headed east, and Dr. Kevorkian pulled over into a parking spot, and I just went on.
What time was this that you left? This would have been about 7:30 in the morning?
When we left Royal Oak?
Yes.
Maybe a little earlier. It only took about 20 minutes, as I remember, for the procedure.
This was a weekday, correct?
Yes, sir.
Wednesday?
Yes, sir.
Sometime around 7:15, 7:30 in the morning. Wouldn't that be rush hour traffic?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And it took you 20 minutes in rush hour traffic to get from
No, I misunderstood you.
I'm sorry, did I misunderstand you?
One of us has misunderstood the other. I understood you to say, what time did we leave Royal Oak?
Yes. What time was that, sir?
I assume it was around 20 minutes after 7.
Okay.
That was when the procedure was done, was at 20 minutes after 7, or thereabouts.
How long did it take you to get to Belle Isle?
Whatever the driving time would be from Royal Oak to Belle Isle. We didn't run into any traffic jams. There were some slow ups on I-75, but nothing major. There was no stop and goes. I'm assuming a half hour, 35 minutes.
The way he's coming at this guy. I hate it.
Now, you were asked about whether or not you had talked with investigators in connection with the death of Thomas Hyde, and you indicated that no investigators had spoken with you. Is that correct?
That's very correct.
And you had been contacted by investigators previously. Is that correct?
Well, on 2 occasions, I was, absolutely.
Okay, and did you talk with them at that time?
No, I did not. I refer to Mr. Feiger.
Okay. So with regards to the other investigations that were taking place, Mr. Feiger was representing you. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
As part of this particular investigation, or strike that, as part of the counseling session that took place in July of '93 when you met with Mr. Hyde and Ms. Fernandez, did you tell, or did anyone tell Ms. Fernandez that that Mr. Feiger could represent them as well, if there were any questions?
What's the relevance of that, Your Honor?
Your response to that objection, please.
Well, Your Honor, I think it goes right to the heart of the investigation here in terms of the allegations been made about, well, why haven't the police pursued this particular investigation? Why haven't they conducted
It may have some margin of relevancy, but on the 403, I'm going to disallow it. Please proceed to something else. Okay.
Would it be fair to say your friendship with Dr. Kevorkian goes back some 30 years
Yes, sir.
and continues till today's date? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And by the way, with regards to this particular cadaver blood experiment, you actively participated in that experiment, did you not?
Yes, I did.
In fact, you were one of the subjects that Dr. Kevorkian used in the experiment. Is that correct?
Dr. Kevorkian and I and several other people at the hospital participated in the experiments, and Dr. Kevorkian himself is a participant in the experiment.
And you yourself volunteered to have cadaver blood transfused into you?
Yes, sir.
And this series of experiments that was done and this research that was proposed to the Defense Department was rejected. Is that correct? I have nothing else at this time.
Hold on a minute, Mr. Frank.
Slaps him.
All right.
Okay, Mr. Feiger.
Mr. Kenny showed in a question with regard to his proposed Exhibit 9. I query whether he seeks admission, because if he doesn't, I do.
I do, Your Honor. I move forward.
I know, objection. Thank you.
Okay, proceed.
These exhibits, A through, or B, C, D, are there other documents besides these?
On every case.
Okay. These documents reference that Dr. Kevorkian reviewed the medical records of Thomas Hyde. Are those also obtained?
Yes.
Okay. Why does Dr. Kevorkian, if you know, obtain the medical records?
To eliminate somebody who is emotionally disturbed, just calling them up and saying, I suffer from pain, I suffer from other diseases.
I have no further questions. Thank you, Your Honor.
Kenny?
Yes. With regards to reviewing the medical records, did you or Dr. Kevorkian ever talk to the treating physicians for August the 4th, 1993, whether or not he had talked to the doctors who were responsible for treating Thomas Hyde on an ongoing basis?
I never asked him.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you, Mr. You may down. You may be excused if you wish. Mr. Feiger, you may
Thank
proceed.
you, Your Honor. Your Honor, this time I've marked as defendant's proposed Exhibit G, the medical records of Thomas Hyde produced to this court pursuant to a subpoena served upon the Henry Ford Hospital prior to this trial and delivered to this court. And also the medical records of Dr. Louis E. Renz marked as defendant's proposed.
I'm sorry, the last one, the medical record of Dr. Rem?
Renz, R-E-N-Z, marked as defendant's proposed Exhibit F, which were also produced prior to trial pursuant to a subpoena.
Okay.
I would seek admission of these two sets of medical records concerning Thomas Hyde.
Your response, Mr. Kenny?
Is this pursuant to the testimony of the doctor yesterday?
Also, it's not simply, these are records that the doctor yesterday testified were some of the foundation of his opinion. That's correct. They will also be testified to again today, and they're certainly, I would say, relevant just simply on their face as a business record.
Mr. Kenny, anything?
No objection.
Okay, G and F is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, admitted.
Your Honor, this time I call Dr. Barry Bialik to the stand.
All right. Wow, that one was good. The assistant was not backing down, and he should not be ashamed, just as I've seen that many times in the chat there. Yeah, we will start next week with Dr. Barry Bialik, ER physician, and then we'll also get to the hospice nurse. Yeah, today was awesome. Again, thank you, Bob Mata, for coming through here. Appreciate it. Bob will be back, I'm sure. Jay in the chat here. Everybody, thank y'all so much. After this, I know that Jessica for Justice is going to be doing a stream on Kick. Put the link there in the chat. Go check her out. She's freaking awesome. My first edited video premiering today at 5. It's nowhere near as good as yours, but I'm trying to learn. I can't wait to see it. Jay, hell yeah. Fuck yeah. I'm excited about that now. Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, everybody, thank y'all so much. Love it, love it, love it. Next week will probably be canceled. Being Christmas Eve, I'd imagine that I'm going to have to be doing some stuff. I'm going to be doing some stuff as soon as this is over. All of you guys are so freaking awesome. I love you. Crime Spies, thank you so much. Crime Spies has an awesome channel also. Go check her out. She's always doing live streams. I think she's getting ready to start doing some Bryce Rhodes stuff. Now, if anybody has not seen what I've been doing, just real quick on the Bryce Rhodes side of things, please go check that out. I just actually made a playlist as well. I'll drop that link in here. That'll get you pretty caught up with what's going on right now. And it's a lot, you know, it's still ongoing. Monday, we're going to be right back in there. I just dropped some interrogation footage. I've got some edited videos also. Justifus, Saturday, that's right. Us, Chris Duet, me and Dan, 5 p.m. Eastern time, but all day long. Jay's going to be going. This week is packed. It's going to be good stuff, guys. Make sure you're following me on Twitter for all of this Bryce Rhodes stuff. I'm continuing to do that. I'm sure there's going to be more trials also. That is a playlist right there for that. But yeah, guys, thank you all so much. You guys are the best. I love you. Yeah, today at 5, I'm going to be checking that out, Jay. I'm excited to see that, brother. Oh, real quick before we leave, Merry Christmas, everybody. Denise coming through 6 months. That's awesome. Let me give you one of these. Huh? Hold up.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much. This has been an amazing day. Oh, shit, Dizzy. Have a great class, y'all. Woo. There we go. How long? Dizzy's 4 months. Wow.
Anniversary. It's anniversary.
Wow. Yeah, we do a lot of breaking news, a lot of, I work Twitter all day long. Make sure, so on Twitter, there's this like bell next to where you follow. If you click that bell and there's a little check mark, that will make sure you hopefully see all of my tweets, because I do have a lot, and I think some of them kind of get lost out there. Everybody came through the day and donated, dropped money in the bucket. You guys are insane, amazing. New members, welcome. Keep an eye out, because there's going to be new stuff coming on Patreon and the memberships this week. You guys are amazing. Mods coming through. I love you guys. All right, let's get the hell out of here. Enjoy your Sunday.
We shoot them up bang bang over here. We not scared of they motherfucking ass.